All right. Holly should be here in a minute. We'll see. But while we're waiting for her to come in, we'll spool all this up. I hope everyone had a good weekend or a good week and getting ready to have a good weekend and everything else. I had a pretty good week myself. All right. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Hi, Sherry. How are you? Just waiting for Holly to show up. But while we wait, we'll get the sharing out of the way and all that going. Oh, tonight we have Chris Fields on. He is going to talk about the upcoming Trump train, but he won't be on until about 7. So as soon as he gets here, we will bring him on. Holly wanted to chat about some news, and we'll see. I don't know, see what she's bringing. Everything else, and of course, we want you guys to. If you've got anything to talk about, want you to, bring it up to us. And this is always the super boring part while I get all this done. But if I can get it done before Holly gets in here, and then we can just carry on. That'll be good. Yeah. Has everyone, all two of you right now, have you guys already voted here in Tooele? Dusty Sager says he's a fun one. Ask him about the banner on a crossing arm one time 4 years ago. I don't know why my mic keeps cutting out. Ask him about the banner. He had a banner on a crossing arm. That's a good question. I will. And yes, Chris is a fun guy. Known him, well, pretty much all my life. Grew up together, same town. He's a grade above me. Mm-mm. And then there is some there is some news that, or maybe not news, just funny things. What was that dinner Trump was at when he said the the goofy stuff about uh Tim Walz? That was, man. I didn't watch that whole thing, but he gets me rolling. You know, regardless of how you feel about him, he is a showman. He really makes it happen. All right, one more second. I know the boring part. I really need a producer. But until then, you get me. Maybe I was thinking we just have Holly on camera and I just sit in the back and not talk and produce. Maybe that'd work. You know, might be the way to do it. But, anyways, Okay, he timed it perfectly for a train. So was it on the arms heading like into Tooele? Uh, yeah. Sherry said that Catholic dinner. Yeah. And it's weird. He's sitting with a whole bunch of Democrat politicians, I think Chuck Schumer was there, and it does strike you funny how they'll go on the media and say all that say kind of vile stuff, and then they'll go to the same event and they'll sit together and they'll laugh and joke, and it does make you wonder what's real. I think Holly's here now. I can hear my guard dog going off. Yep, she's here. She made it. But when he said, they're asking me, he's like, Kamala and Walls couldn't make it, but Tim will say he was here.
You watched that?
I just saw a clip of it.
It was great.
Yeah, that's funny stuff. All right, here she is. I'll bring her on camera.
Running around like crazy. Finding last minute candidate events.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it works.
What candidate events did you have?
We just have knock on doors happening tomorrow. And all throughout the state. We're kind of spreading out, doing door knocking with the SEC for candidates. So it should turn out well. Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
So what candidates did you
Oh, John Curtis
Okay.
is one of them. Celeste is another. We're just going to, and local candidates for, certain areas. Judy Weekstroner, they're going to be knocking on doors for her out of West Valley. Hopefully, we're just going to get down ticket everybody a win. That's what it's hope to do. So we'll be spreading out tomorrow morning and hitting the pavement running, hopefully.
Very good. Sounds like a super fun event.
Are you lying? Yeah.
I'm lying all the way. It sounds awful.
It's not. It's super fun. It is fun.
So anyway, tell me about this. What news did you have in mind when you sent me that message?
When we talked about news for the last 2 weeks, we haven't even touched news. The Kamala Harris interview with Brett Barr, that interview, and the recent one with Anderson Cooper. I mean, we actually saw Anderson Cooper really do his job, which was impressive. Pushed her on a lot of things, which made her look terrible, and he was trying to help her. Brett Barr wasn't. I mean, he wasn't really trying to be a jerk.
He wasn't combative at all.
Very safe with her and careful. But I just think that if the Trump event at the press corps event didn't kind of get him extra votes, I think the Brett Barr interview kind of put the nail in the coffin for people who were on the fence about supporting Kamala.
She doesn't do very well at interviews, does she?
Well, no, because the interviewer is limited on what they can even ask her. Her questions are all predetermined, and they did let that slip.
Well, and then they edited it.
Yeah, they did.
When they, what was it, CNN? No, I meant NBC, CBS. I can't remember. But yeah, it come out that they edited it. Now, was you able to watch any of the local debates today around Utah? They had Burgess Owens and his challenger. They debated each other today.
I didn't.
I was at work, so I only caught a clip of it, just a second, but I'd like to know how that went.
I'm sure great. Burgess is great. I really like working with Burgess. I think he's the real deal. And it's not just because I'm a Raiders fan and he played for the Raiders. I love Burgess. I think that he tries really hard to hear from the people and, do what they've asked him to do. I don't know. I think he's highly engaged in his district.
Mhm.
Mike Johnson is running now for District 3, I think. And he's also somebody that I got to know in Milwaukee. And I think he's excellent. And he's been an excellent legislator for Utah. And now I think he's running for Congress in John Curtis's seat.
Mhm.
So I think he'd be incredible. We've got a great list of candidates. And, I don't tell people to vote strictly Republican down ticket in the sense that I don't want you to do your research. I highly, highly implore people, do your research, check out these candidates and get to know them. And hopefully you can use our show as a reference. We've had most of the candidates, at least in Tooele County, on, and John Curtis has been on.
Nope.
Yeah, he was on.
You got to talk to him at convention, but he never came on our show.
He was on our via Zoom. I swear we've had John Curtis
No,
on.
we tried to get him on.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Now I gotta go search.
Go ahead.
But other people, if you want to see other people, I mean, Celeste has been on.
Mhm.
Jared Hamner has been on. Scott Wardle has been on. Ty has been on. These are all local representatives. Bridger Bolander has been on.
Yeah,
Nicolene Peck has been on.
Bridger's been on quite a few times, and I look forward to working with Nicolene when she wins. I do feel like we didn't get enough Democrats on.
Not for lack of trying.
Yeah, I would have liked to have gotten more on. That would have been nice. I want to hear those different voices out there.
You're right. John Curtis was supposed to be on. He came to the county.
Yep.
And we did a meet and greet with him and the public, and then he had to take off. So you are right. Write this down. What day is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's my niece's birthday. Happy birthday, Kristen.
Happy birthday, niece Kristen. But yeah, but I would like to get more. I'd like to get more messages on. I think we need to, get everyone a little bit of a voice.
Well, I was happy that the Democratic Party reached out to Deborah Gatrell because I had reached out to them early on and offered to send their candidates, and they sent her. I'm so happy that they did.
And she's an outstanding candidate.
She was a great guest and really enjoyed our time with her. We probably could have talked to her about a million different issues.
Yeah.
Besides politics. So
I kept wandering off in the weeds on.
So I think she's somebody we should invite back on after all.
For sure.
Is all said and done.
For sure. Even just for solutions on the education trials and struggles. There's also tonight I was invited to, I obviously couldn't make it to, but I was invited to the Democrat Party. I think it's Salt Lake County Blue Collar Caucus.
Oh, wow.
And I would, it'd be something interesting to go see, just to see what initiatives they have. Maybe try to see if they work out. But
hey, if that ever happens again, let's go live there.
I would like to. I've got a inside woman who's going to, she's going to tell me kind of what they talked about. I mean, unless there's confidential stuff. I told her she ought to live stream it, but she said she'll have to check in on that.
I would love to be welcomed into an event like that because I am highly interested in what the Blue Collar Democrat Caucus, what their issues are, and what is important to them.
I imagine it's quite a bit of union stuff. They want to get probably more union motions going in Utah. So, but
Hi,
It'd
Mom.
just be interesting.
You didn't tell me you were hanging out with my mom.
Yeah, me and your mom's been chilling like villains. Yep. She said, was it on 60 Minutes? Yeah, that's what she was on. 60 Minutes, CBS, NBC,
What?
SHI. I can't remember. 60 Minutes. What is 60 Minutes on? CBS, right?
I don't know. Want me
Okay.
to Google search it.
All right. So,
Hey, this isn't my phone.
what other news you got?
Well, I'm talking about Chris today. When Chris comes on, we'll talk about the Trump train that he's kind of been organizing in a
Mhm.
grassroots effort. And some of you remember that this started in 2020, and it started with a few people meeting up at Grantsville High School with their Trump flags and just making a little Trump train around the county. And every single week leading up to the election, it grew and grew and grew. And I know you and Dave went to one of them.
Went on a couple of them.
And Chris is a dear friend, and I mean, that's no party affiliation, and it was just something that residents of Grantsville wanted to start, and it just kind of grew from residents of Tooele and residents of Stansbury and Stockton, and they all went to Grantsville and got in line, and then they traveled around the county, and I thought it was so cool.
Went down there and cooked hot dogs at the high school and handed out hot dogs to people. And then we went on our drive.
Now, November 3rd, we are going to try to be there,
Mm-hmm.
right? This weekend. You don't have anything next weekend, do you?
I don't know yet.
Like a shooting?
The week is young, but this weekend I've got range weekend.
Yeah, but next weekend on November 3rd, they'll do their last one before the election. And November 2nd, they're doing one, and a different group is going to be leaving from Settlement Canyon Road on November 2nd at 10:30 and driving to their destination. And they say bring food or buy Domino's pizza at a discount thanks to the owner, and bring drinks, a table, a canopy, or radio chairs. If you have any ideas, let us know. If you are interested in joining the Trump train on a Saturday at 10:30, get in touch with me and I will get you the details. We want these everywhere. And my party secretary, Christina, she's been helping put this together, and this train is going to be a part of a train coming out of Weber, a train coming out of Salt Lake, to try to make all these huge counties join together to make one that would be November 2nd. So if you don't want to do that one and you want to do the 3rd, then that's in Grantsville at Grantsville High. And that one usually starts about 5 p.m. So it's evening time. If you want to do both, you are welcome. We just want to, I know that the one in Grantsville is considered like a patriot train, and Chris can get into that. They're not telling anyone they can't come. They want patriots. So if you have a Harris flag and a United States flag, I think that you are welcome, at least from what I'm reading. And then
I imagine the Trump side would be completely welcoming of that.
I know they are.
Let me give some advice for anyone who wants to go do this and you want to say, put flags in the back of your truck. Make sure you get hardy poles, hardy anchor points. And also when you go get out on the highway, just pull the flags down. We saw so many flag poles bend, and then the flag kind of sometimes drapes down the side of the vehicle and stuff. So make sure you're ready for that. But if you're just going to use a regular one when you're in the cities, let it fly. But once you get out on the highway, we'll be going, if it follows the same track, probably hitting Mid-Valley Highway, heading up Stansbury Park, 36 into Tooele, or maybe 112 into Tooele, 36 down to Stansbury. Tries to hit
or Lake Point, Stansbury.
Those 3 major areas. When you get out on the highways, I would pull the flag in, just because otherwise you're going to be pulling over and fixing it anyway, and you'll have damaged equipment.
And you want to show respect for the flag.
Obviously.
So you just, that's what everybody cares about. It's about the the respect of the flag and getting your voice out.
Mhm.
So that's a really good idea. I might need your help.
Okay.
I don't know how to mount a flag on my truck. I'm sure there's a way, but I usually do the Trump flag and the police flag.
Mhm.
Um,
You gonna try to do that by Sunday?
I don't know.
Okay.
It depends. I think when we go Sunday, I kind of want to go live and I want to talk to people there before they go
Hmm.
and just kind of get a feel.
I'll
of
be there
everything
if I can.
and participate myself in the train on the 3rd.
Okay. All right.
The second I have meetings.
I do want to ask about what are you hearing about uh, the early votes that have come in? The countywide, that's probably dominantly Trump. But what about? Are you hearing anything? Is there like a Republican hotline, like a red phone you guys pick up and they
Yeah,
tell you
I
stuff?
carry the red phone around with me everywhere.
Is there like a website they update you on? Is there?
No, I think that not that I know of, because I just go to our county clerk who is Superwoman and she can get me numbers and things like that.
Can she
Tooele
get you
County-
numbers outside? Because the county, we don't. That one, I'm pretty sure it's all Trump and a blistering of other. But I'm wondering, do we know any information on Salt Lake County? What are their early votings looking like?
I don't know that they're showing actual results. They don't
Well-
run those till the election night, I
Oh
believe.
no, they've been reporting early voting because
Oh, early voting, yes.
they're using that as kind of the finger
The
in the wind
judgment.
of which way it's going.
Because
So I'm
they
wondering.
think Trump voters are going to vote early and in masses, but
Well-
they're not telling us numbers.
No, it's not. They know that Democrats vote early. So what's shocking everyone, the pollsters, the gambling places, what's shocking them is that early voting, when normally it favors the Democrat Party,
It normally does.
right now it's almost on par.
And Trump has been pushing that, and the party has been pushing that over the last 2 years to bank your vote
Yep.
in order to get people to
And
get there early.
Day of voting is when they see the most of the Republicans come in. So I'm wondering if you've got any insight into that, where you're a party chair.
I know that we are getting a lot of early voting.
Yeah.
Where the ballot boxes are getting full. And that's what we want you to do. We want you to drop them off at ballot boxes, because then you're not worried about, did you get a stamp on it? How long is it going to take to process through the mail system? Nothing against the mail system. We'll get into that whole argument later. But if you take it to a drop box location, the chances of it getting picked up quickly, and then you can track your vote, and it tells you how inside your ballot, how to track your vote, so you can see if your vote has been, or where it's located. Once you've put it in, our county clerk's office is at those ballot boxes all the time. We've had a great turnout so far. We expect to have a lot of in-person voting on voting day in our 3 in-person locations. One's at the county, one's in Stansbury, one's in Grantsville. As far as like turnout, it's telling me, I'm looking for the latest polls. It's in Utah.
Go back up to that Nevada one. Nevada's okay. So you got Wisconsin, even, Nevada, even, Ohio, Democrat +2, Nebraska, Republican +1. Those are your contentious states, the states we got to worry about.
Yeah.
Or the states that are
A lot of these are
purple.
These are people who are early voting, and some of these are just counties inside states that are making a huge difference because they're the most populated counties. But when you see places like Arizona that hasn't fixed their voter rolls, where they have, some counties have, and not just Arizona, but some counties in those last counties, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, they found some counties that have gone over and beyond to fix their voter base. But then you get places that have still counties where they have more registered voters than there are citizens in that county. And I just
What?
make this make sense, folks. Like, why would you not these past 4 years fix this voting problem?
Because by not, they get to fix the vote.
But aren't Democrats tired of hearing that the vote was stolen in 2020?
Not
Wouldn't
if they're
they?
winning.
And these are the same Democrats, mind you, that said the vote was stolen in 2016 and in 2000. And
Well, that's what they say when they lose.
they always say that when they lose.
You know, that's what they say. But there's, I would like to know if the early voting has equalization, then we can probably expect a higher Republican turnout on the day of.
Well, you know what's weird? In Arizona, they were talking about how they've opened more places, they've got more ballot counters, and they expect to have the results in 9 to 12 days.
Yeah. What did you hear
Days.
about that Montana guy?
That's just setting it up.
So in Montana, on the voting drop-off security camera, they caught a guy going over there and rattling the drop-off box. Like looked like he was trying to move it or whatever. So they obviously did a search. Who is this guy? Looked into it. He was a Democrat employee, Democrat Party employee, and kind of egg on the face. They don't know if he was acting alone or if he was acting whatever, but the Democrat Party ended up firing him. I should have looked up his name. I just saw it in passing. And what's the deal with, there was a guy here in Utah that was walking around with a gun and just doing his like a civil rights march, and it ended up blown into a big deal.
I have no idea, but Mom's voted. I voted, Mom. I banked my vote.
Yeah, so did I.
I love to vote in person. I love it. And Tracy had opened these new locations because the public wanted them. And so she opened them. She's got people working them. And I wanted to, use them, because if you use them, it shows her that she needs to open more if that's what people like. But with this election and with the state party and the national party really pushing that, get in there early, bank your vote early so you can track it and all of that. I thought I would follow their lead and not vote in person. See, what my mom used to take me and my brothers when it was voting day, and she would take us and we would go with her as she voted. And my dad was the same. It was like an experience. This is your civic duty, and we come and we vote, and this is who we're voting for. And I have memories of that. And I did that with my kids when they were young. And then mail-in voting happened. And even after mail-in voting just started in Stansbury Park, it just exclusively under Marilyn Gillette, our previous county clerk, it had a really good turnout, but I still liked voting in person. So I would go to the high school and vote. And then when the county went in, like mailing fully throughout the county, they didn't really have a lot of options to mail in person or to vote in person. So anybody hasn't got a chance to watch the press dinner put on by the Catholic organization, Ed something.
I've just seen.
Go watch that clip of Trump. I thought he came across as humble and funny. His jokes were funny. The comedian there, I need to find it. The comedian that was performing there is not a Trump fan at all, but he's a conservative type comedian.
Was it that white-haired guy?
Yeah.
He is not a conservative type
He
comedian.
used to be.
Nope, never been conservative. He's clean, but he's always been a huge Democrat. Okay, so West Valley City, there's so this guy, he's walking down the sidewalk with a AR rifle, and he walked by a bus stop. So of course, a lot of calls came in, humana. Police showed up, but the police operated correctly. They said that's his right to do that. He's not committing any crime. You know, they can go up and just say what you're doing, but they can't demand anything. They can't ask for everything. But so here's the deputy chief of police, retired deputy chief of police said, carrying a weapon is something you can do legally in the state. We issue concealed carry permits to people. We have constitutional carry. We also have open carry. And so what he is doing is legal. But from a law enforcement standpoint, it can sometimes be alarming, especially when children are involved or in the area, he added. And it doesn't mean that because of that, you can do it. You can't do it. It just means that you're subject to maybe having law enforcement make sure that there's nothing amiss going on, especially when kids are involved. And then, of course, KUTV's got to jump in and say, oh, there's been this many mass shootings this year. And oh, yeah. Tell you where a mass shooting isn't going to happen, where that guy's walking.
Yeah.
I think in my opinion, it's okay for the police to approach, to ask him how he's doing, to ask him what he's doing, but they cannot demand an answer or to see his ID. They cannot.
I think the law is that if you were asked for identification, you have to give it.
Nope. They have to suspect you of either having had.
Probable cause would say people called police on this guy.
Doesn't matter.
Who knows what they told them.
Doesn't matter.
That's suspect.
The police have to suspect him of having had committed a crime, committing a crime, or about to commit a crime.
Well, then what about in traffic stops when
they've got to, traffic stops.
And I'm not saying just your driver's license. If they ask your passenger for ID and they refuse, they can hold you there until they get your ID.
That's a gray area. I think we should ask our sheriff about that. I don't think they should be able to.
Well, I mean, a lot of traffic stops find bad guys.
Sure.
Just by the luck of the traffic stop.
Sure.
Really quick, it was the Al Smith dinner. So if you Google Al Smith dinner, you'll see Trump's top 10 jokes. And Jim Gaffigan is the comedian and not a fan of Trump at all. But he has conservative values. I would say that about him.
No, he's clean. But I
used to watch him back in the day, and I thought he was so funny. We went and saw him live, and he was so funny. And then 2020 happened, and we got to watch. Oh, look at that! We got our first troll.
Hey, says Trump loves roosters.
Percival.
Trump eats cats and dogs. You guys loves mass shootings.
Only in Ohio does he, though, right?
Only if you are black. What does he mean, or she, by any of that? I would love to have some conversation about it. I love that.
Oh, he's probably referring to people who have to ID themselves in traffic stops.
Yeah, probably, but I don't think that should even happen.
Well, welcome, troll. We love that you're here.
Yeah.
So thank you for your comments.
Hi,
Amy. Thank you for watching.
Love mass shootings.
Yeah.
How come all the mass shooters are Democrats?
Yeah, that's a good question. If
questionable
Republicans love mass shootings,
mental aptitude,
why have the last 6 been liberals? Not liberals. I keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Progressives with questionable mental health. Why? I guess. I mean, maybe that's
I'm so glad you joined us, Percival. This is great. We
Though
love this dialogue.
Percival might have dropped out by now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But you guys, Dusty Sagers, he timed it perfectly for a train.
Yeah, I read those earlier. He talked about something he did on the arms at the crossing. We're going to ask Chris about that when he gets in.
Excellent. Well, thanks for tuning in, Dusty.
Mm-hmm.
So the Trump jokes, I mean, I could play the top 10 if you wanted, but they were really funny.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I have to say is that he knew he was walking into a place where half the people there hated him, if not more. He then got funny and said, well, maybe like 25% hate me and 75% love me.
He is quite a showman.
He showed up and she wouldn't. She did a video and sent it, but he showed up. And the best part of this was who's sitting right beside him the entire time and right below him. You've got Bloomberg, who looks like his head's about to pop.
Yeah.
And then you've got the speaker,
Chuck Schumer,
Speaker of the Senate, Majority Leader of the Senate, Chuck Schumer. And even Chuck laughs and chuckles at a few of his jokes. And Trump even jokes that, hey, I helped you get started. I donated to your campaign.
Yeah, it was
You're a good guy.
Your first donation
you were a good guy.
When you were running as a city councilman. What do they call him there? Not city councilman, city
mafia.
I don't know.
Then he starts busting the chops of the mayor of New York and saying, hey, they're coming for you.
Oh, Adams, yeah.
They're coming for you. And you weren't the worst mayor. You weren't the worst mayor. Don't worry, Bloomberg. I'm not talking about you.
How's things going with Johnson? You hear Johnson mayor of Chicago got wrapped up in spending it was like something like $184,000
on personal
getting and renovating an office for his wife.
Yeah, that makes sense, you know. It's not money to them.
Chicago is done.
Chicago has had so much corruption.
Well, yeah, I mean,
years and years of governors going to prison, mayors. Like, there's so much corruption. And you know what I love watching right now is the city council meetings in Chicago, where the Black community has come in droves and is taking on the city council and holding them accountable. I don't think it's ever happened like this, to where they've been promised something, they've not delivered, their kids aren't getting any more educated, their cities aren't getting any more safe, and yet their cities are paying their tax dollars out in record amounts. And these poor folks have been victims of their own government. And they're actually calling it out now. And the city council will tell them when their time's up, but these people will not be silenced, nor should they be. A woman took a council to task in Dallas a couple days ago, and threw the Texas Constitution right in their face, saying that you work for us and you are the servants of the people. And she's even, giving statute out of the Texas Constitution right in their face. And I mean, just the look on their faces were like, wait, because she's a Black woman, they look at her like, wait, you're supposed to adore us because Dallas is very blue.
Percival says hello. Glad you're here. Danielle Wright says, I love this. I don't know.
Percival's a good time.
Yeah. Trump trains going off a cliff.
Oh, you must be one of those that's really one of the sensitive types.
No, it's good.
So accepting and kind.
Yeah. No, whoever wins, I predict a good time.
If you consider a good time of the country in mental illness times 10 of what we already are, whoever wins, there's going to be a mourning period and then a really crazy period.
Remember 2016, that mourning period was about 18 seconds, and then they burned DC to the ground.
Right. And then they had their riots during the inauguration. That was a very dangerous time. And heaven forbid some of those people got caught as being attendees of the inauguration in the numbers, because Trump had a lot of people at his inauguration. I don't think as many as Obama had, but here's the left making fun of his lack of attendance. But, you know, two blocks down, they were burning it to the ground, putting law enforcement in danger and putting citizens in danger. So I mean, yeah, you can throw J6 into the Republicans' face, but who rioted when the
Mhm.
election was stolen from Trump? Or you believe that Biden got 81 million votes, way more than Obama, which Republicans and Democrats voted for Obama twice. Oh, Percival, you're not an American. And we love good rhetoric. We love it. We love to be trolled, but
It's
where are you from if you're
it's
not American?
good that it's good he can come onto an American platform and practice free speech.
Hey, 3 viewers, this has got to be good. Make.
As
Thank
a
you.
veteran, Trump is despicable. Well, me as a veteran, I think all government is despicable.
That's fair. That's fair. And don't worry, make. We'll slow it down for you. We're on a few different platforms, so this is YouTube.
I think so. No, it's I'm from
Rumble?
North Korea.
Is this on YouTube right now?
Yeah, that's what they're
Okay.
coming through from.
So, you guys who aren't on YouTube, we've got some fun people in the chat.
This is
some
is
stuff. I love it. I
no,
love
this
it.
is good. This is good because we're talking to people who
disagree.
Yeah. Now, I'm not a political person myself, but I enjoy the debate. I would like to hear some coherent debate.
I love the trolling. I think it's funny. And I don't take offense. I just think it's funny.
Well,
And I love that you're giving your time to be live with us to write this stuff. So
Iran, we say howdy round these here parts. Trump is the enemy from within. This is getting good.
Yeah, Johnny. Hi, Johnny. Welcome.
The enemy from within. That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, somebody put the post out recently, and I think that O'Malley May might agree, but they were talking and actually pleading the case that Elon Musk is the Antichrist. And saying how he's creating, God will be created in Memphis, which is where the AI programs are coming out. And, I went down that rabbit hole and I'm thinking, well, I don't know. It's whether he is or not, innovation is coming back to the United States. It's kind of been stalled for a while. If it takes a billionaire buying a social media platform to allow free speech, I wish YouTube would give more free speech to not only content creators like us, but to commenters who just want to be silly and, oh, good. Percival, me or Jared? It's probably Jared.
Oh, it's
I'm bored in the hot tub trolling you. I take it.
It's
it's
no,
funny.
it is an interesting thought. I didn't vote last go round. I voted this time because I would like to see some economic positivity come out. And also, the thing that's been getting to me is every time I see these major political figures from the Democrat Party, Hillary Clinton talked about it. What was it? 3 weeks ago. Kerry talked about it a month ago. They come out and they keep saying they keep having a message of restricting the social media so that they can restrict the First Amendment. The First Amendment is a barrier to them getting done what they want to get done. And
they're saying more than social media. They're saying they've got to be able to restrict the internet.
Well, yeah, but concerns me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It should. It should. The American people found a way to communicate throughout the world and talk to people like Daniela from the hot tub. We get to communicate, and we don't have to always, I mean, hate speech. What is that? Are we going to take offense to it? Whatever. It's free speech. You have every single right to say whatever you like. We don't have to react, and we certainly don't have to ban and censor. I mean, Percival's trying to be censored.
So here's someone says, I'm very curious how anyone could see Donald Trump, churlish billionaire playboy, and say, I want that leading my country. But where doesn't that apply? Doesn't that apply? I mean, how could someone reelect someone who held political office again when that person got rich holding that office? That would give me more pause than someone who starts out rich.
Well, if someone starts out rich, and not only that, but they have tried and failed multiple times and were able to rebuild, and they look at the United States as a business using taxpayer dollars and trying to use it wisely. I personally like the idea of someone who cannot be bought by anyone, who understands that he has been bogged down in his own business by regulations, by IRS, by hiring, reasons and protocol, mostly regulations, for him to go in and say, look, we need to deregulate and we need to make it easier. And early on in this country, we had tariffs and we didn't have income tax. And it just got up this week. A man said, hey, I could vote for you if you could eliminate the federal income tax by creating tariffs on the products coming to this country. And Trump went into this whole speech about how back in history, that is how the country was funded, not by federally income taxing its citizens. Now that's a long way back. But I'd like to try. I'd like to see Americans be able to keep their own money and build businesses if they want, without big billionaires pulling the ladder up behind them, so that you may have the next great idea, but it's going to be killed automatically by regulation. You'll be sued by these big billionaire companies who are saying you're risking their business or whatever. There's so many little ways to keep the American down that has an innovative spirit. And I think that I want somebody who's going to run this country like a business, a successful business. And that means, getting good people that know what they need to know. I mean, he's talking about Elon Musk being the, they're calling it DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. And that absolutely needs to be, if not Elon, somebody that can't be bought, that has no political interest. Elon doesn't want to be president. He doesn't want to run for an office. He wants to get to the moon or to Mars. His whole goal, though, is to get United States back on the right track. And we have all these different government entities that are bureaucrats, appointed, not elected, accountable to no one. And they're spending your money on new offices, or they're spending your money on toilet seats and paintings in the Capitol that are unnecessary. And yet we can barely make our bills.
Did you hear Thomas Massey talking about how Trump got charged, or they tried charging him with paying off for inappropriate behavior, but then he called out how much Congress has paid off in the last
millions of dollars.
And
there's a fund in Congress that is specifically designed to squash any lawsuits of behavior committed by electeds. A lot of sexual assault, a lot of sexual harassment, those type of things. They just let them pay it off. So
we need more Thomas Masseys.
I agree.
Look, Johnny Ray says Trump doesn't know what a tariff is. The American people would end up paying for the tariff, and you're probably right. And I'll be honest, there probably will be a painful interim moment when while industry spools up to fill that gap, and that is true. I don't know if that would be an all told negative.
I think he could help it by
But-
making corporate tax rate 0.
Well, but right now, as we sit, where our industry is exiting the country, and we're just bringing in kind of a laptop class industry, it puts us in a predicament where we're going to further segregate the economy, and it puts us in the predicament that the French Revolution found themselves in, where there was an elite overproduction, and it led to, the strife there. But it's
Yeah, we get it.
I think
Percival.
I
We
think
get it.
it'd be nice to see a spread come back to the country where traditionally you can't say traditionally. There's ebb and flows throughout history, but the beginning of the 1900s through about the 1980s, you had a spread, and loss was felt across the board, and gains were as well. And it'd be nice we get that back, and that would support the Democrats as well. You don't get the unions coming out of the IT community. You get those coming out of your blue collar industry.
Well, he says here, Elon was bought, though. If he gets that position, he'll just enrich himself the same
He'll just
as
enrich
the government people you're against. Thanks for sharing him also against corruption in government. Elon's the richest man in the world.
And
I don't see him doing this for anything other than maybe if there was one thing he wanted, maybe he would get a little more access to Mars and that plan to go to Mars. But he just rescued the people, the astronauts on the space station when even NASA couldn't.
Well, I'll tell you what.
So
make if he gets in there and he does that, I personally like what Melee's been doing. If he gets in there and does that, and he is corrupt, let's hold him accountable
I
for it.
agree. We
And
don't
if
like
he's not-
corruption, period.
But can we also, at the same time, can we start? Right now, I believe that if a congressperson is charged and has to pay off for any impropriety, that needs to at least be made public.
Yes.
Whether you run them out or not, it at least needs to be made public, even just for the laughs. But right now, they're paying out and not making it public. And it sounds like Chris is here now.
Excellent.
But
He's
yes,
going to love this.
answer the question. Boy, he's
Yeah. Wow.
really does Kamala talk?
Well, just seeing how you speak so far, I'm sure that you would.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure we could dig up some stuff.
Yeah,
on
Kamala has plenty of.
Kamala saying
history.
stuff inappropriately. It's yes.
Okay.
But on to Chris. We're going to talk about this.
We've got a couple of
Come on
trolls
in, have
the-
a seat, man. Good to see you.
Nice seeing you.
All right.
So good to see you. How you been?
Good.
You gonna play Black Ops tonight?
Yeah, probably so. Just got released. I've been busy. I haven't been able to try it out yet.
I know, me too.
What you been doing?
Me?
Yeah.
Put your headphones on.
Well, that's a good question.
Hold the mic up to you.
I've been at the hospital for the past 3 weeks.
What's going on?
My mom had a double stroke 3 weeks ago.
Oh no.
3 weeks ago yesterday. Then she came home on Monday this week, and she went back last night. So
I'm sorry.
it's been rough. I'm burning on 2 hours of sleep since 6 o'clock
Oh,
yesterday morning. So
well, let's make it quick then.
oh no, you're good. You're good.
Well,
Tell us-
everybody, this is Chris Fields. He's very good. Do you like Christopher, or can we call you Chris?
And call me whatever you want. Just don't call me late for dinner, which that's
Oh.
obvious. That hasn't happened in a while.
Yeah.
Chris is an amazing friend of ours, and Jared's known him his whole life.
Yeah.
And I've
Since
known
we
him
were
about
grade schoolers or
I think I've
kindergartners.
known
6
you
years
about
old.
10 years.
Yeah.
And we used to work together and find a lot of reasons to laugh at our job. It was a lot of fun. Always had fun. And we were saying earlier that you kind of started the grassroots Trump train 2020 that became the biggest in the Western United States. And
Started out as a joke.
yeah,
Someone made a comment of, oh, we should start a Trump train in Tooele County. And somebody else said, oh, that'd be impossible. And I was like, well, I could do it.
yeah. Don't tell me
So
what I
it-
can't do.
Well, it was just, and they're like, well, why don't you do it? It was on Labor Day weekend. I was like, all right. And I put out the post on Facebook, and the first week, like 3-4 days later, like 6 or 7 cars showed up, and it's like, okay. Then the next week it tripled. And then 3 or 4 weeks goes by, and I'm finding myself every Sunday.
Pretty soon you were
I was lead
committed.
214 vehicles after about 5-6 weeks.
And that's amazing. And you kept that up all the way to election.
Every weekend, all the way to election. The last weekend of election, we did our Trump retreat.
yeah.
That was a joke. It turned out to be pretty big. It was cool.
Seriously.
Yeah, it was.
That's the place to go
Yeah.
because all those people, and you even let people who aren't Trump supporters go. You just say Patriot Train
Yep,
at this
Patriot
point.
Train, and that's been kind of a nuance for this year, because there's a lot of people out there that aren't Trump supporters but that are patriots,
Right.
and I totally get that.
And they feel left behind by
Yeah.
their party.
Totally. You have people that are left. I wouldn't say far left, but you have people that are left and that are patriots.
Yeah.
So I know I served in the military with a lot of people that don't think the same way that I do, and but they are patriots. They will defend their neighbors whether they agree with them or not. When it comes to the Second Amendment, comes to their First Amendment right, and I like that. I kind of feel like I wouldn't say on the fence, but in that gray area. I see some things. I remember growing up, some of the Democratic policies I agreed with. So, and I think I lean a little more libertarian. I've been a registered libertarian since 2009. So, I don't know why I switched at that point. I think it's because I mean,
You probably
I'm not-
wanted to vote in certain elections. Like you couldn't be a libertarian and vote in the primary for a
Correct.
Republican. You couldn't participate in caucus because I switched from being an independent to Republican in 2008.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to participate from the start to the end.
and I voted for Obama in 2009. When I tell
A
people
lot
that
of
day,
Republicans did.
because I liked what he was saying. He was a really good, he gave really good speeches, and I don't know why I connected with him.
Well, and look at what he brought, hope and change, right? That
Yeah.
was his motto. And to be a part of electing the first Black president in the United States,
Yeah.
that was huge. That was huge. It wasn't just Democrats that believed that he would be great. Republicans saw that in him, and he was charming, and he was funny, and I think his policy made him a problem.
he wasn't McCain, and then and McCain brought wars. I mean, that he came from that lineage.
We found out Obama did as well.
Right. And the thing about Obama is that we didn't know anything about him.
Yeah.
Nobody did. So he was kind of like this guy, the underdog, crawled out from underneath the woods, so it seemed. And I kind of liked that underdogness in the service. And a lot of people dog on Trump when he talks about McCain and turning on his own soldiers in the military. We talk about that in the service way before Trump was ever in office. So when I hear people talk and give crap about McCain, oh, he was a war hero, not in my opinion, and a lot of service members that served back in those times, not in their opinion either. But
No, he was a show dog that should have been pulled out of the aircraft the first 2 he crashed.
yeah,
He would steal aircraft and showboat, and he, quite frankly, got into a lot of trouble. The only reason he remained in it because his father,
his dad's a 3-star general.
his
Okay.
father was a rear admiral.
Yeah.
His father was the rear admiral over the USS Liberty incident, but that's another story for another time.
Make a lot of people mad whenever you talk about that. They get all fired up and think you're a conspiracy theorist, but you either you've been there, done that, or you heard about somebody else talking about it. So,
Right.
and that, so that's why, I mean, when I served, when I was in the service, Clinton was in office.
Yeah, he was the old man. That was
He's
the
the
last
first president
time.
I voted for.
The
Yeah.
last time I voted for president was Clinton, and then just the other day, I haven't voted in since then, but
Oh.
I did vote this year just because I kind of think World War III is a little important to pay attention to,
I think it is too.
and Ray Charles can see that's on the horizon.
All you have to do is I apologize.
You're all right.
All you have to do is read the Bible. You don't
Yeah.
have to be religious. Just read the Bible. Read it without any religious context whatsoever. And the things that the Bible are talking about are happening in today's day. Is that coincidence? I don't know. If it is, there's a lot of coincidences that it talks about.
Absolutely.
So yeah, World War III is something to worry about. Back to when Clinton was in office, I had somebody just recently ask me, they're right-leaning Republican, great guy. And I mentioned that I liked Clinton, and he's like, "Oh, tell me something that Clinton did good when he was in office." And that was so many years ago, and I remember vividly. TRICARE was a really good. I was there during the TRICARE transition,
Champus.
and yeah, the prior was horrible. It was
Mhm.
bad. Even when TRICARE first came in, it took a couple years for it to get settled in, and it worked out for the most part way better than the previous. And the other thing that Clinton did that Bush got rid of, and I think it was just to get votes, was their he was moving away from socialism. He was moving away from
The drawback on welfare. You
On
could only be
welfare.
on welfare for
2 years.
2 years. Yeah. Also, the last time we had a balanced budget.
Correct.
Also, he was bringing to the forefront the problem with illegal immigration.
Correct.
And he was in this State of the Union address saying we need to secure this border. And I think he took that talking point to heart and wanted to do something about it. But see, each party has
Yeah.
for so many years, they each trade off. Even Obama said we need to secure the border.
Well,
When Trump said, "Oh no, we're going to secure the border," I think that pissed off a lot of the ex-presidents.
There's a reason why. When you had in the past, we always had politicians, and you can say it's a conspiracy theory. I think that there was always something on somebody somewhere. Somebody was bought and purchased and paid for. Trump was not.
Epstein.
Right.
Trump was not bought and paid for. How do you buy and pay for somebody who doesn't need to be bought and paid for?
That someone mentioned that Elon Musk is going to be bought and paid for, and I'm like, he's the richest man in the
By
world. Who?
I would worry about Elon Musk buying and paying for politicians,
Mm.
Right.
and not. He doesn't care about money.
Yeah.
He could lose 99% of his wealth and live a million times better than any of the people that are here on this planet.
Mm.
So
True. He could lose everything and build it back because he has that
Yes.
mindset of success and he's not a victim. I mean, he's living in a tiny home,
he sold
in a
his
box
house,
home.
and he didn't write his kids off, but he doesn't spoil his kids.
Nope.
And they makes them work for a living. I worked for somebody here in the state of Utah, one of the richest men in the state of Utah, and I personally watched him make his kids work. And it was cool. I got to sit next to him every other weekend, every Thursday at the racetrack. That was Larry H. Miller.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from that man as far as people here in Utah when it comes to wealth. He was just very smart, very to the point, and very driven. So,
Well, successful people will always be successful.
Yeah. Heard a comment the other day somebody made about Trump being arrogant. And then you probably have all seen the viral video of the lady talking about he's arrogant, he's narcissistic, but used him as an example as a surgeon that was narcissistic
Absolutely.
and could not be beat down, couldn't lose. So that's somebody you want on your team.
Especially
be
with
a-
World War III looming.
Loudmouth. I mean, playing baseball, playing football growing up, being in the service through my youth. The person that was a badass usually acted like it. So
And you respected him.
yeah, totally 100%.
And I
So,
think that, Putin and Kim Jong-un, the butterball, I think they just don't know what Trump's capable of. Trump tells him, don't do that. You won't like that. And even if he's arrogant about it, it's that cowboy mentality that I think Ronald Reagan had that, wait a minute, we don't know what's going to happen here. Whereas I can buy off Biden.
Yeah.
I can purchase
Well, that's
Kamala
proven.
Harris.
That's been proven. He's
Absolutely.
been bought off, and you can argue with me on that
Funnel
if you
right
want,
through
but
his son,
Yeah.
but his son's going to make sure and pay all dad's debts. Dad will pardon him before he's out of office. I guarantee it.
I
He
don't-
even said he wouldn't, but I guarantee he does.
I got a controversial take on that. I don't know if he's bought off. I think
the big guy gets
the
10%.
I think the
Yeah.
Democrats set that up
that's
as,
possible.
as
But
a
it's been
laundering
going on
scheme.
for
I think
years.
Ukraine is bought off.
So here's something that everybody should go out and look at. Went down the rabbit hole. If you're not familiar with cryptocurrency, you need to be, because with politicians that are in office, I don't care if you're Republican, Independent, you're Democrat, whenever the stock market, you have to report your earnings from the stock market, right? So Nancy Pelosi, we all know that she's a big stock market.
She's so lucky with it too.
She's
She
way,
does
way
well.
lucky. But guess what?
Not her husband.
Guess what Ukraine put into Bitcoin in 2021? Ukraine dropped in $50 billion from their government. That was supposed to be turned off.
I think it was meant to happen right there.
Yeah.
$50 billion, which is probably from the United States.
That's
That's
right
taxpayer.
before the United States sent cash over. And
That's
they
a
dumped into
scary
it.
thing too, because also putting that much in crashes Bitcoin.
Does crash Bitcoin, but here's the other thing too. If you are a senator in the United States and I pay you in Bitcoin,
It's untraceable.
not traceable.
Yeah.
And
It's kind of like that one guy with gold bars in
if
his house.
If you watch the flow, you can't see who owns the accounts, but if you watch the flow of Bitcoin go from Ukraine to Bitcoin, and from the Bitcoin transactions coming back over to the United States, where's that going to?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, and it's not, and this is probably one of the few times I'm like, okay, maybe crypto needs to be,
Regulated.
yeah, needs
I
to
don't
have-
think so. I think government does.
government needs regulation. You're 100% right.
I think we need to do away with the regulation on the people and stack another one on the government.
How do you do that?
Yeah, that's
A
Start.
constitutional amendment?
I don't know.
you're right.
I've got lots of ponderings. I don't know. Like I was thinking earlier, what if we, okay, we take Congress, make their term 6 years, take the Senate, make their terms 8 years, take the president, make his term 7 years, and you get one term. That is it. That's all
Why
you get.
7?
Because you
'Cause
can't
it's-
fix everything in 4 years.
And well, but
Why not 8? Why?
I'm
like
just
it is
going
now?
off what the split is between Congress. Congress is 2, president
How about
is
the
4,
Supreme Court?
Senate. I don't know if I would want the Supreme Court to ever have to volley up. I would probably say Supreme Court has to get out at age of retirement. Like you're done. You're
Oh, geez, we'd lose half of them.
sure. And right now would be a bad time, but in a month it might not be.
Well, one of the things that I'm seeing now that I'm almost 50, I'll be 50 next year in February, is I don't have representation.
It's
We
true.
don't- we don't
Gen
have-
Xers, we
And
don't.
You,
They pass the torch over us into the millenniums.
Had we ever had representation?
the youth in their 20s and 30s don't have representation.
No.
They don't. Their representation is the guy who is on running a podcast online, and that's who the representation is. And so there's no
Hi, Cami.
there's my wife.
So good to have him here.
She
Thank you for
is
sharing him.
Biased, isn't she? Handsome guy.
that's good.
Oh, she's talking about Jared, I think. This
He's a
is
pretty
Jared.
handsome guy.
God, I
Cami.
hope not, Cammy.
Yeah, he's been getting hit
I've got-
all night by
I've got
some troll in our YouTube
Yeah, we'll
account
go into
hitting on
that.
Jared, and
But
then
Cammy, you go down. There's a couple of good obstetricians. Is that the eye doctor? Tell me, I just didn't call out.
Yeah, I think so.
ophthalmologist.
Ophthalmologist.
That's probably the lady doctor, huh? Go to the eye doctor.
Cami, stay away from anywhere he tells you to go.
Oh, Boy, I stumbled. Why'd they make them so close?
Because somebody wanted you to
because they didn't
make a
expect you to
Freudian
have
slip.
to talk
That's
about
like
them.
the proctologist and the foot doctor. They're kind of close.
So
What's the foot doctor called?
podiatrist.
Podiatrist.
See?
Podiatrist just starts with a P. Proctologist, podiatrist, not even close.
I'd say that
Pediatrician
I would say
and
they're-
podiatrist sound
See?
closer.
as a kid,
That's-
I needed a proctologist, and my dad needed a foot doctor.
Yeah.
Your dad needed the pediatrician.
Anyways, I sidetracked us there.
Yeah, you've just met 3 people with ADD, everybody. So we may be all over the place, but I want to get into this because you've been a Trump supporter as long as I've known you.
I've been a Trump supporter before he ever ran for president, just because he's funny.
He's funny.
He's a funny guy. He's the whole "you're fired." When he said he was going to run for president, I was like, I hope we hear that a lot.
I know.
Well, everyone on the left was a Trump supporter till he ran
Yes.
for president.
Yes. In
And
fact,
he did fire a lot of people when he
Here's-
first came in as president, and he got shot down by the media for it. Oh, he's firing all these people that are
Yeah.
just so great that weren't so great.
and he was handed a lot of people to work his cabinet during the trends, what do they call it? The
Transition.
transition team. And he was given these people to work with him that ended up stabbing him in the back. And this time around, at least he's humble enough to admit, hey, I had the wrong people around me. I am going to be selecting people that I can trust, that know their stuff. And I'm not going to listen to Joe Biden or Obama or Clinton or even Bush, because they didn't have the people's interest in mind.
I can tell you right now, the most people that I've ever managed in a job is 63. And I had 4 supervisors, and then I had the bodies that run underneath the rest of those 4 supervisors. And that was a lot. I mean, I had the 4 personalities that I had to deal with those supervisors. And then when the complaints, skip the chain of command, I have those personalities. Do you know how many positions lie underneath the president? Doesn't matter which president it is. Do you know how many leaders?
Oh.
there are?
Thousands,
Thousands. Guess a number.
Easy.
10,000.
More.
I would bet it's probably
Are we
up
just
in the
talking about
30,000s. And that's if you
35,000.
And that's if you don't skip like the worker bees, but
Yep.
just the FBI, the guys, the CIA alone probably has 40 people that meet with him for different
Oh, yeah.
things. Different.
35,000 heads that are underneath
and
the president.
this is also the largest employer in the nation.
Huge.
And so
Another
people
problem.
who are angry right now about Trump, they're not feeling, this is what I feel like. If you're not feeling the effects of this economy, and if it's not hurting you, you either work for the government and your job depends on agreeing with this administration, or because I don't see how the Democrat Party has not left a lot of their people behind by going this far left. My neighbors are Democrats, and they're not about killing babies. They own guns.
You just have people that are dedicated and loyal to the party.
Sure.
I know. So I have a personal family member ran a business here in Tooele. And when Obama got voted in and they started making adjustments to Obamacare, he had to shut his business down.
We lost our business in 08.
So
Also.
that's about when he lost his business. Shout out to my Uncle Mike Fields. He had Oxygen for You here in Tooele.
Wow.
And because of those policies that were put in place, he had to let his business go. And he worked really hard to build that business and to get it where it was at. His customers loved him. And then one day they can't use him anymore. They have to use the bigger company that's out there that has a contract with the US government. So
See, and the government produces nothing.
absolutely nothing.
We are the product. We're the contributors to the government's purse, and yet we have no say on where that money goes. And when our electeds, our representatives, start deciding where that money goes, there is so much fluff and crap. If you removed the bureaucracy of so many departments and really got down to brass tacks on what do these first of all, do these departments need to exist? That's number one. Do we need the Department of Education? Why can't we hand it back to the states? And then we free up all that money and give it back to the states so they can run their education.
Or just don't take it in the first place.
But they'll have it in a budget for the year. So return it to the states. And and at least let them do with it what they will.
Would you think a lottery where you get a vote for which bureau we shut down first would be good? Pay-per-view, even pay-per-view firings, like when
I'd
they
pay for
pull the
that.
head of the ATF into,
I say we have
I might
another
pay
apprentice.
$150 to watch him
We have Trump-
get fired.
Trump do an apprentice type show.
But
where-
pay-per-view, we
all
don't need
those-
tariffs. We'll do pay-per-view.
No, Apprentice. You know his show on NBC?
Yeah.
He does that only with the FBI as one of the players,
Mhm.
CIA is one of the players, Department of Education, IRS, and they all have to prove their worth while they're there, and he gets to fire one every week on live television.
I'd be down for that.
I'd totally, I'd
they-
pay to see it.
They would have to post that on one of them illicit
At
sites.
least when he gets in, he should fire every department head.
But how do you keep from replacing the head of the snake with another head of the snake?
Well, yeah, because the second and third
Here's
are also
35,000 people.
Here's
Yeah,
an
you gotta-
interesting.
I think you got to cut the head of the snake off entirely.
So Bill Barr was his last attorney general, right?
Everybody liked him in the beginning. He was
You know who Bill Barr's father was?
no.
His father
Was it
was the guy
Joe?
who run the private school that he personally hired Epstein.
Oh, nice.
Isn't it interesting when you look into the trails that chase themselves?
I want to see that list. I
Yeah.
think everybody deserves to see that
Oh.
list
Well, why haven't we?
because
Uh,
there's a lot of crap that'll roll downhill when it happens.
I'm ready
you
for
wanna
it.
see- if-
Let's see it.
If I think that it would turn, I don't know, it'd turn into a civil war. I think it would turn into a war for the people versus the government. I think you'd see right and left get together and be like, "Hey,
I would
we're not
hope.
putting up with that." I really don't. This whole narrative that I see that going out there, kids aren't being trafficked. What the heck is going? I've been called a conspiracy theorist. Oh, you think kids have been trafficked? They are being trafficked.
Our border patrol will tell you there's 300,000 missing right now.
I have a close friend. He's been at the Border Patrol since the late 90s. He worked his butt off to get there. And he's up and pretty high up now. He's back east. He's from Missouri. And him and I have conversations about every 4 years about Border Patrol and training. And he does talk about, he's told me, he's like, he tells me when Trump over exaggerates, but he also has told me when the Biden administration is not being upfront also, and what the guys on the ground are really going through. That's the thing. When my daughter was trying to give me an example of what was going on at the border, instead of trying to give her my opinion of it, I put her in the car and we drove there.
Amazing.
And you learn so much from being there. What's the lady from New York's name? She's part of the squad.
AOC.
AOC. AOC is in San Diego. And when there's a brigade of cars driving around, and the Hispanics that were there, it's in a mall. I can't remember the name of the mall. It's right on the border of Tijuana. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. There's literally a fence where they walk in and they come in, they work at the mall there. They got like a Nike outlet mall. It's a really cool place. I like it. I like going there because the food's really good. But I saw people throwing food and garbage at these really nice cars that were driving through. And there's a Hispanic guy. He was screaming and yelling. I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I had my daughter with me. It was a perfect learning opportunity. And he said he said her name,
Alexandria Cortez.
Yes.
Alexandria
And,
Ocasio-Cortez.
And so he tells me her name, and he said, "I worked hard to come into this country legally." He said, "I've worked hard my entire life that I've been here to bring my family across." He said, "My brother came across illegally after I spent thousands of dollars of attorney fees, and now he has to go back and he has to wait so many years. It's a long time. It's not short."
That's 10 years, I think.
Yeah,
right?
it was pretty long, 7 or 10 years. And so he was very frustrated because he made the comment, "I could use those funds to bring over another family member who was willing to wait and come over." So he didn't like the fact that there was support of illegal immigrants coming across the border where he worked hard.
Sure.
He knew more about our government at that time than I did.
Yeah, because
He had more of a right to be an
citizens-
American citizen than I did at the time. That's how I felt after talking to him. I felt like, wow, I need to go home and do some homework.
Immigrant Americans actually that want to be here, they have to go through a lot of tests and everything. And I don't think the average high schooler or average American could take that test and pass.
No.
And they're required to pass to become a citizen. But a friend of mine who became a citizen that worked at the track with us also, it was one of the greatest accomplishments she'd ever in her life had. And it was so cool because she was excited about it.
Yeah.
And yet I knew walking in there, she knew more about this country than the rest of them sitting there.
It blew my mind. It was a really cool learning experience. When we came back from California, she said, you know what? This is an all right place to visit. And then I took her to Hollywood. Doesn't want to ever go back.
Yeah.
When
I
did you
never
take
wanna
her
go
there?
back.
That was in 2019. It's
Oh.
way bad now.
Yeah,
but
don't
even
take her to
then-
San Francisco. My family and I would go to the Raiders game every year, and we'd stay in San Francisco because Oakland, because Oakland.
It's Oakland.
Now
It's always been rough.
San Francisco makes
Not
Oakland
always.
look amazing.
Look at Oakland in the 50s.
I'll say in the 70s it was rough, so it had to have been earlier than
In the
70s.
50s, Oakland was the place to be, and some nefarious things were done to ruin it.
I think
Yeah, government.
part of it was government, and it was CIA. It was during Vietnam when a lot of the drugs were being brought across. That's
Air America.
Yep.
Well,
America.
and part of it was there was a group of unscrupulous realtors who did some unscrupulous things. But yeah, Oakland was considered like one of the nicest cities you can live in California in the 50s.
I believe that.
And it happens. I mean, look at Detroit circa, 1955. I mean, Detroit was the most amazing city on earth.
Yeah.
And now it's
It's
the most
sad.
amazing city on earth for a different reason.
It's sad, but the people of Detroit, I feel like, are starting to wake up. The people of Chicago are waking up, and they see that this has been, they call it the concrete plantation. And it's because, wait a minute, you kick the dad out of the home, you make sure the mom's on welfare, and it becomes, instead of building any wealth or family future wealth, you're crushing them with high taxes, bad education for your kids, and you're telling them that you're there to help them, which should scare everyone that ever hears those words from the government.
We're
And
here to
yet-
help. You can trust us.
Yeah. And now Trump's coming in going, you don't have to live this way. You don't have to be regulated. You don't have to be on welfare. We're going to bring manufacturing back. And then in Detroit, he said, if I am elected, I'm going to get Congress to pass an order that says you can write off your car purchase as interest.
I saw that.
And do you know what? For a person whose husband's work in the car industry, that would save the car industry that's hurting really badly.
How about overtime?
Yeah. How about
How about
tips?
tips?
We got to get Utah. Utah's what molests us here on overtime.
It is bad.
Utah's rough. If you go over 8 hours, Utah doubles your tax rate.
So I worked for Rio Tinto this year and for Hecla Mining in Juneau, Alaska. I was in Juneau for 3 months this year. And I made a substantial amount of money this year, more than it's the most I've made in the last 4 years after COVID. And man, I tell you what, the amount of taxes I pay is more than what's the average salary here in Utah?
40, I think.
Yeah.
Is it
Probably
40,000?
So I'm at 48,900 in income tax. So, and then when I add my property tax on there, it puts me close to $60,000 that I pay in
Should have
taxes this
moved
year.
your residence up to Alaska. See how that goes.
Have you been to Alaska?
I'm just saying, put your residence there. Buy a cabin.
Yeah, it's the taxes and the expense for land in Juneau is mind blowing.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Not even a quarter acre lot, like a 0.17 acre lot, anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000.
Wow.
And you talk, and then you
Why?
have to-
Why is it that much in Juneau?
it's landlocked. You have
Oh,
to boat
yeah.
in or fly in.
Do you have to put in all the services too and all
You have
that?
to put in all the services on top of that, and the ground there is so rich that the mud is purple. It's so
Really?
rich. Yeah, and it's but they have to bring in rock from outside of the area. It's really crazy.
Hi, Matthew.
You know, old Matt Jones.
Matt Jones.
Love Matt.
Yes, sir. He's got us looking something up.
DOD initiative. I haven't heard of that.
I haven't either. DOD Directive Executive Order 12333 establishes procedure to enable. Oh yes, I have heard of
I have
this.
heard of this. I have.
Also, it frees up military to be used
against civil.
in civil circumstances when lives are in danger.
My wife and I were talking about this today. So
Two-way rifle range. That's where we're headed. Keep doing this. We're headed towards a two-way rifle range.
So prior service.
Mhm.
What would you do if you were called in at the time to go into LA and to fire upon civilians?
That's a tough one. I was 18. My head was at least 8 inches up my fourth point of contact.
Yeah.
Here's another way you do it. You lay it out. So you take everyone from the Southwest and you group them into military units that are oriented on the East and the Northeast, right?
Okay.
And then you take everyone that's, say, from the Northwest and you group them into military units or dominance of military units in the Southwest. And then people from the Northeast and the South, you move around like that. And that way they carry their culture with them internally in their
Are
unit.
you answering the right question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you carry, the cultures are carried internally within the units. And then
It's Hunger Games.
something pops off up in the Northwest, right?
Yeah.
And maybe the military doesn't get rough-handed, but the thing pops off. The people that are located somewhere else get letters from home. They're primed that when it pops off down where they are, they might get heavier handed. And therefore it passes on and passes on. And next thing you know, you've got a military that is essentially foreign troops.
You have right now our country is already divided.
Yeah.
Right?
What? Tell me more.
So I go back to the Hunger Games. In the Hunger Games, there was 12 districts, right? And we're already working on that here in the United States. I mean, people can laugh at me all they want when I say that, but just go back to when the show was made and the way that people dressed at the time,
Oh yeah, we're there.
and look at where they're at right now.
My gosh.
I know how fake people are in the media, in the news.
And the eunuchs that are running stuff.
They feed you what you need. They make you beg for the necessities in life. And that's where we're getting to that point. And you can disagree with me all you want, but every year we move closer and closer. I'm a real big believer in scriptures. I am. I mean, I tell my wife, we're told the same thing all the time as a kid growing up. And at certain points in my life, I was like, all right, here we go. The LDS church is telling us again that we need to be prepared, right? And I was in Scouts. It's be prepared was the motto. In the service, I heard it a lot too. I have to be prepared. And so when I see all this crap hitting the proverbial fan, I go back to my roots. I'm like, well, this is going to happen regardless because it says so in the scriptures, and our job is to be prepared. So I try to do the best that I can to be prepared mentally. I'm not doing a very good job physically. I've got to pick up on that.
Dude, we're old.
But we try to do what we can to make sure that we have the utilities to make sure that the well's running. We've got a good amount of ammo. We have training, food. Yeah, just so we focus on that, and then.
And if you've raised your kids with that same mentality as well.
Yeah, raising with that. A couple of them have gone off of the wagon, but they come back every once in a while. So
They're young.
Well, in
They're
this
young.
world, I mean, I think once they get into the real world, and you've got a few kids now that are grown adults.
believe me, when I was 25, I knew way more than my parents did. Just ask them.
Yeah.
You could have asked me at the time too.
And that's the thing, though. They get into the real world and your son works overtime and goes, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Where's the money going? Or your daughter is like, oh, I'd like to have a family someday, but I can't move out. I can't afford to buy a
Exactly.
house. I can't imagine being a mom, but I would never want to kill my baby.
Yeah.
It's these constant changes that are brand new, technology's added to the mix. I say there's nothing new under the sun, but what our kids, especially you and I have littles.
Yeah.
So what their schooling is like is different than what ours was like. Social justice is taught everywhere. It's in everything.
My youngest, I've kept home. He's being homeschooled for his first time. He loves it. I love seeing the outcome. He chooses to learn more. So we have set aside between hour and a half, 2 hours a day. He really only needs 45 minutes to an hour. And that is what every study shows. So why we have our kids in school for 8 hours a day is only so that, one, we can provide jobs for teachers. Don't take that bad, teachers. I love teachers. We have some great teachers here in Tooele County.
Do.
Unfortunately, there's a couple out there that make the rest of them look bad, just like with police officers. You have that one bad apple that can make everybody look bad, but 99.9% of the teachers have been great with my children. I did keep my youngest one home kind of as two things. Maybe it was an experiment. He's already super intelligent, and it's not because he's my kid. He just is. It is what it is. I got a couple kids that are.
He's super curious too.
Yeah, and he learns so fast. He speaks French really well. He can read, write, articulate. It's really cool watching him learn the way he is. And then my wife working with him, she's phenomenal. Let me just tell you how
I know
phenomenal,
you got a great
phenomenal
wife.
my wife is. She is a badass.
And she's a smoke show.
She is smoking hot. She is awesome. I have the best in-laws in the whole world.
She plays Call of Duty with
She
you,
plays Call
and then
of
you
Duty.
rescue her, and you put music to it.
Actually,
That is so great.
she rescues me.
Well, the one you showed that I remember so well was
His-
you
He's
saving
got to
her.
brag up his moments.
I have hundreds of videos, and maybe 10 of them was me saving her.
Oh, nice. Those are the ones you share.
It's the cut that I make. Look at me save her.
Yeah, and then he adds music to it, and you're like crying because you're like, "You're here."
We were playing the other night, and she is known as the escape artist. We could all get slaughtered, and you can see her.
Dun, 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 dun. I'm
We're
the
all-
same on
we're
my
all
team.
popping back in. We're all thanks, and we played one game the other night. Good example. Sorry to get off topic.
you're
No,
good.
but I want to be friends on
We-
and play with you guys sometime.
I think she brought me back like 5-6 times in a 15-minute match.
Yeah,
and I
I've
literally
been there.
came back at the very end and I got the last kill. I had 0 kills in the game. I just got some points. She did most of the shooting and he had killed her. And I jumped on top of him and popped him on the head, the back of my gun because I was out of bullets. And we won the match. And we look at it and we have this thing that we do because we're sitting next to each other. And if she has more points than me, she'd be like, "Oh, my back hurts. I think I carried you too much in this game." I do the same thing to her too, but it's and we've been playing together so long. This is crazy. When we were in Alaska, we had video up so we could see each other. We even went to bed with the video on because it actually helped doing that. I just love her to pieces.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I would find myself that because the way our desks are set up at home is that mine's right here and hers is right here. And when I died, my first muscle instinct was to turn right and see where she was at in the game. And when I was in Alaska and she's here in Utah, I would turn to the right to look automatically all the time. I was like, I got to get a monitor set right here. And I got to get my wife's pictures set up here so I can
Some
see
people
what's going
might
on.
say that's a little crazy,
It's muscle
but
memory.
in this game, I mean, it's nice. Like when you have a team too that you trust, there's nothing like it. I think we should be friends on there. I haven't found you. We need to hook up for any night you guys need a
Captain
fourth.
Crispy.
I'm
I have
Slim
my own wear
Furious.
too. I have shirts. I have hats.
But I actually play Plunder more
Do you?
with my team. I just love to win,
Do you know
get the
why?
victories
You like
on
the
those.
money.
Yeah, weird. I like the money. I may not get all the kills, but I
She's
usually
like,
get
"I'm
all
a
the money.
millionaire."
I've made billions in that game.
You have to play Plunder to understand what we're talking about.
But Call of Duty and just Black Ops just dropped tonight, so I'm going to
Black
go
Ops
home and
6.
play that. But we should get together and play. I've got
Yeah.
a great team too. They're made up of
Got-
law enforcement and search and rescue
Got my
guys.
boy Mike and Lee and Lebanoni. Shout out.
Oh, holla!
we play every night. Last night we
I
got
love that.
Last night we got cut early because all of a sudden we see red and white lights outside the bedroom window, and that's ambulance was at the house. So
At your house?
yeah, my
For
house.
your mom.
For my mom. Yeah,
Oh,
Is your mom living with you?
she lives in the house right behind mine.
See,
So-
this is what I love because this is again, be prepared. Like you have your loved ones close. And I
Oh,
know
yeah.
you did that with your son
Yep.
when you built a place for him.
yeah, the shome.
The show.
The shed home. We call it the
But
shome.
it was genius because it's perfect. It's an apartment
Yeah, it's
that
cool.
is on your property that you own, and it's a jumping spot for
Yeah.
your kid to move out, but you know,
And then
be
the next kid
responsible.
could move into it.
Right now, I'm using it as my shop.
Oh, well, now it's the
I build those
show.
gaming computers for Call of Duty, so it's a lot of fun.
I need you to build me one once I can. Let's get Trump elected first, and let's get this economy fixed, because
I
I,
would
don't
like
have
that,
disposable income.
For those people that say that they didn't see any impact when Trump was in office, I say lucky you. I
Yeah.
saw a huge impact when he was in office.
Me
My
too.
business did great. I was rolling. I was
So
spoiled.
let's just make this clear: you're not a millionaire or billionaire.
Nope.
So my husband's
And
company.
Trump doesn't know me, and all I've heard is Trump just wants to lower taxes, make his rich friends richer. You look at numbers, don't lie. Data does not care about your feelings. I just want to throw that out there. It doesn't matter what you think or how you feel. The data is there. Hispanic Americans, Black Americans, Americans across the board were making more money. We were doing better. We were able to take our paycheck, pay our bills, live comfortably, go on vacation, go do extra things, and live life. Afford a house, afford vehicles. Holy crap. Vehicle prices are ridiculous. They're dropping right now.
Well, my husband sells cars for a living. He's the
There you go.
sales manager.
Yeah.
And our life under Trump, no, we didn't. We're not millionaires either.
Yeah.
But Ken Garff Nissan and the Ken Garff Group, when they got that tax break, they hired more employees. They gave raises to the employees they had there, and they changed the pay structure so that the best employees
Yeah.
were going to get paid far more. And it was their way to say thank you, gave them bonuses. And Budweiser did the same thing.
Yeah.
Target, all these big corporations put that money back into their staff, their workforce, which is exactly what the intention was. Whereas, you know what? Let's lower the tax rate to 0% for corporations. They will flock to this country. You will have more business, more innovation. And then you, the American who wants to start your own, when you get deregulation, Trump was killing regulation and requiring for every regulation you bring forward, you got to eliminate 3 or
Yeah.
300. But there was so many regulations he got off the books.
Any business owner that's out there, you want your employees paid on a performance basis.
Merit
Dealerships,
base, yeah.
dealerships are performance based. You either make it or you don't. So
Because the
sales-
product sells itself and people need a car.
Yep.
Now, though, through the past 4 years, what we've noticed, the buyers coming in are not buying out of fun and luxury. They're buying out of
Necessity.
absolute necessity. And there are more times than not people coming in that are not from America, no green card. They have a pre-approved no interest loan through Bank of America and no money down.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And when you look at their EBT card, they've got $13,000 in it.
My
and their
daughter's
food card, $4,000. And the worst is they don't speak English and they don't even have a driver's license.
working at Maverick down in Cedar City and told me some of the balances that were on EBT cards in over $10,000, sometimes $20,000. And it was like $20,000. And these weren't necessarily immigrants. These were Americans. These were people that were taking advantage of the system. So I don't care if you're white, brown, black, yellow, purple. If you're taking advantage of the system of the working person, you're in the wrong. So
Well, it used to be something that there was shame. My mom and dad, that was like the last thing they would ever do is try to go on any sort of welfare. They were too prideful and they were worried that they'd be judged because there was a shame element to it. And having to go on WIC myself when I
Yep.
had my son, there was a lot of filling out that little box and make sure you
But
don't mix up the
WIC
box.
isn't welfare.
No, but we were also on welfare at the time as
Yeah.
well. And that was in 08. I mean, here we lost our business, but surprise, you're going to have a baby that you waited for 8 years for. So
It happens.
blessings, right? So, but they give you a card. So there's no shame there.
So
And you can buy whatever you want. And I'm watching these people buy lobster and chips and sodas. And I'm sitting behind them going, I'm trying to add up my cart and I'm just getting the basic necessities.
Yeah.
And it hurts me. My stepfather's a veteran and my parents go into debt to buy food over using a credit card because their social security and their savings hasn't kept up with the times,
No.
and they did everything right. They saved and saved and saved, and you
Buy a
know
house, you'll never lose value in it.
you'll never
That's-
own it.
Yeah.
You know what holds value?
The federal
really well?
government owns it.
What's that?
Ammunition.
Ammunition is awesome.
Alcohol,
Ammunition
tobacco.
holds value.
You should have ammo and alcohol in your food storage
And
Mm.
tobacco.
and tobacco. Tobacco goes bad quicker, right? Because it's got a shelf life. Alcohol,
Only gets better.
I guess, only gets better. I don't drink, but I keep it for bartering reasons.
That's why I
And
have a
for
whole
medical.
bunch.
The
And it could be used in medical,
And when
both to sterilize and to, I don't know, drug the patient so they're not in as much pain.
and when it comes to wealth, Jared knows how I grew up. I grew up in a 2-bedroom house in Grantsville. There was 4 kids in one room. My youngest brother slept in my mom and dad's room. My dad was a hardworking, still is to this day.
Concrete, man.
Working in concrete for 50 years.
That's work.
Building homes. I will never forget, I started DJing at 14 years old in 1989. I've been doing it 35 years. And I would rent the Lions Hall that is now burnt down next to the fire station. You remember that?
Mhm.
I'd rent that Lions Hall. And
I
I
remember
remember
going to some of those DJing events.
that we had a blast. And I remember I'd rent the equipment from the pawn shop in Tooele, rent the Lions Hall. And when everything was said and done, I'd make about $125 a night in 4 hours time. And that was a lot of
It
money in
was.
1989.
And
And, I'll
it
never
was all
forget
cash.
all cash. And I remember my dad coming home late one night and he asked my mom, and I was scared of my dad. I had a lot of respect for him. My dad didn't say much, but when he
Weren't
did say
as big
something,
as you are now then either.
no, I wasn't. So he
Does it matter though? Don't you always
no.
have that fear
love my dad.
or
Yeah.
respect?
He saw that money on the table and he asked my mom, where did that money come from? And I was in bed and I could hear his voice and I was like, oh,
He thinks you're a drug dealer.
I'm in trouble. And my mom said, well, I took money at the door tonight. And he DJ'd over at the Lions Hall. And my dad said, my 14-year-old kid has figured out what I haven't figured out my whole life. He made more in 4 hours than I make working in a 12-hour day. My dad made $10 an hour back
Not
then.
just that, but
Unbelievable.
you went home and your back didn't hurt. Maybe some fingerprints were rubbed off, but your back didn't hurt. Your old man, I guarantee you went home. I'll guarantee
He was
then
tired.
his knees were blown.
My dad, I remember he had both of his knees replaced in the last 4 years. My dad would leave the house at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning and never came home before 8, 9 o'clock at night. There was times that he would come home at 11 o'clock. My dad is one of the hardest working people I ever met. And the next day when I woke up after hearing my parents, my dad's all, hey, come outside. And I thought, oh crap, what is he going to have me do? Because he didn't talk to me much as a kid growing up. And he's all, you've been DJing? I said, yeah. And he's all, what do you need? And I was like, well, I have some speakers. I need to figure out how to build some boxes for him. I didn't know how to do that. And he's all, okay, we'll build you some boxes. And he built me these big boxes. And I remember buying remember the old stereos that were all in one?
Yeah.
I bought a couple of them at the DI for like $35 a piece. And
14.
at 14. And so we pulled the speakers out and we built them into these boxes. My dad built these boxes. He built wheels on the boxes so I could roll them from the house on Center Street across Main Street over to the center. And then I would do it at the tennis court dances too at the old elementary school. And that was my dad's contribution to help me out so I could do that. And so we did that. I did that for years, every other week. So
You had a working role model. You had a working role model. All of
his
us
dad's
had.
a hard worker.
All of us have. My dad worked 20-hour days in law enforcement. He said it wasn't work because he loved his job so much. But my mom worked. I mean, we all had good male role models in our lives, and then you had support.
Yep.
And then also knowing that our role models worked, we all probably had that work ethic to where I got to work. Now, you didn't go into manual labor; you went into software, right?
Yeah.
And more
Some people are
intellectual stuff.
Smarter than others.
Right. But you've
but
been
I
able
like
to
both.
create.
Yeah.
I've worked in oil rigs. And I loved working in the oil rigs. If I wasn't married with kids, I would have stayed on the oil rigs.
Yeah, my brother does.
I love that.
But see, I this is where I'm wondering where this disconnect is. Are the kids just not the young people, the millennials or the Gen Zs, are they not getting raised where that role model's in the home?
It's our fault.
Well, and also our economy. Our economy has been driven to the laptop class.
Yeah.
To where look, union membership, Utah's not a union state, but union membership across the nation has died. And everyone's going, why? It's because blue collar has been ran out of this country. They farmed it out elsewhere, and they just want to have college educated class providing all the businesses, and that's made it to where the kids don't grow up learning, seeing calluses on dad's hands.
Yeah. I will say that I've been guilty of, I wanted to give my kids everything that I wanted as a kid.
Sure.
So vicariously living through them. I wanted to play football. My parents were broke when I was a kid. I was lucky that I got to play baseball when I was 11, 12, and 13. I had to pay for it myself. I started my mom gave me a book when I turned 40. It's two big, thick books. Bless her heart. She spent probably a year plus putting it together. And it has all the genealogy from when she was a baby till I turned 25 years old when I got out of the service. And in that book, she had little keepsakes in there. I don't remember doing it. I applied when I was 9 years old with Grantsville City to have a bike shop in my parents' driveway.
So you've always had the entrepreneur spirit.
I got denied. And at the age of 11, and I do remember this, I applied for a business license for lawn mowing business, and I got a business license. It was like a junior business license. It was nothing like legit, but something that kids don't do anymore. I remember walking from my house on Center Street all the way to the top of Durfee Street, pushing a push lawnmower to go mow the lemons. The lemon families.
The corner of Cooley
How old
and
were you when
Durfee.
you started working a job?
First real job?
Yeah, where you got paid?
When I got paid, that would have been, I don't know, 15, 16.
I was 13.
I was 7 or 8 years old running the chutes at the rodeo grounds.
And see,
every
this
weekend.
is something, here's the thing. I was in a family of 6 kids. I wanted to cheer. And that was expensive. It was too expensive for my parents to pay for it. I played softball and dance and did all of that. And it was too expensive. I wanted name brand clothes. So my parents said, sorry, we can't afford it. I got a job, and if I could take back all that money, and if I would just put it in a savings account, I'd be living a different life right now.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
But I think you're right. What we've done is we've said to our kids, I don't want you to want the things that I wanted. I wanted to play football. So you're going to play football if you want, and you're going to do softball, and I'm going to coach it. And I'm going to be that dad that's right there and helping and supportive. We took something from them because we've provided them with my kids want for nothing. Yeah. And yet I can't find anything they want bad enough. I think I found it with my son, is he wants a cell phone. And I'm like, well, then get a job. And so maybe that's what our generation has lapsed, is we are not pushing that entrepreneur spirit or that independence on our kids that we discovered on our own, because we were feral growing up. Gen X was feral. Let's be honest.
It's also a different world. Kids, their world's there. Remember turning 16, all he wanted was that driver's license. And nowadays,
Kal-El didn't want his driver's license.
Yeah, a lot of kids
most
don't.
kids just like,
17.
what do I need it for?
His mom and I had to push him.
Yeah, I had to drag
Not
my boy down
uncommon.
and make him do it. But
My girls wanted theirs. It was a different attitude. I don't know.
their
why.
world is there. And I told him then, and I've told the girlfriend's kids, you will never feel freer in your whole life than that first time you drive yourself to somewhere you want to go.
And that's a lot of people that don't know. I have 9 kids. So
He
7
does.
boys,
He's
2 girls.
repopulating the county for us.
Prolific.
I have
3 between the 2 of us, and then 9 over there.
6 baby wives, 6 baby mamas, 6 baby
I love
wives,
this part.
6 baby mamas. I
But you get along really well. They're
work
with
hard to get along.
co-parent.
On the backside, a lot of people don't see it. My oldest boy's mom and I, oh boy, I learned a lot from that relationship.
That was when you're in the service.
Yep, that made me the man that I am today. I get along with her fine now. She actually just got married over this weekend.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations to her on that. And the guy she married, Matt, he's a great dude, great guy. But Rhonda and I, we were married for 13 years. We have 4 kids. And one of the rules that we had, and I think I didn't grow up with this rule. It's something I created over time, but I think she kind of grew up with it just to stay busy. She had parents that they had a drug lifestyle. So she didn't want to live that life. My parents, it was a cowboy attitude. It was a little, we grew up in a rough home. I think a lot of us grew up in a rough home at that age, but I wanted to incentivize my kids, and Rhonda wanted to do the same thing. So we just told our kids, and we really pushed it. Good grades, boundaries are set. This is what is expected. This is the consequences of what is expected isn't made. And we had to follow through.
Right.
And that's a problem with
That's
parents.
a hard part.
It's the hardest part. If you say you're going to do something, do it, whether it's positive or negative. You have to follow through. Do not give an incentive or a discipline if you're not willing to dish it out.
It's true. I've
The hard
learned that
part
hard.
is 2 parents have to be out at work nowadays.
So that is true. And you know what, you have to make it work. It's not perfect. It really is not perfect. Because Rhonda she works a lot of hours now, and we still balance. We've been divorced 12 years. We still balance out getting kids to doctor's appointments. My wife is a freaking badass. She does that too. She jumps in, helps out. They communicate with each other. It works out really good.
That's how it should be.
we
When
told-
you love your kids more than you hate each other,
Yeah.
your kids will only benefit.
I tell my girls, if you bring home all A's and nothing less than a B, it's $100 on your report card. So they followed through and did their part. I followed through and did mine. Both my girls, and in doing this, it paid me off. It saved me tens and thousands of dollars. I didn't even realize what I was doing
insurance.
until after,
For
not car insurance, college.
Oh,
Maya is on a 2 full ride scholarship. She gets paid every quarter to go to
I
school.
love that. She's
Matea-
brilliant.
Maya started working for Maverick at 15 years old. She worked for the racetrack when she was 14. So that's when told the girls, you got to have a job, get good grades. You play a sport. We don't care what sport you play, but you play a sport.
You're just active.
They excelled in softball. They excelled in academics. They excelled at work. Maya just quit Maverick. She was the youngest employee for Maverick under the age of 21. And she just left there after 5 years. So she's 20. So, you don't hear
I
that.
can't believe she's 20.
20-year-old kids
Dude.
say, I've been at my job for 5 years.
I remember her at 14.
Yeah. And that girl would show up to the racetrack at 6 o'clock in the morning and work
She was
until
a
8, 10 o'clock at
delight.
night. So, and my girls unfortunately followed my work schedule because I did the exact same thing. But my boys, I think I kind of spoiled them with more time than with my girls because I worked a lot. And so with my boys, we did the same incentives, but they were just like,
Yeah, what do
Football-
I need $100 for?
football requires a 2.0. That's all we need to have.
yeah.
So,
And boys are a different mentality as teenagers.
way different. Logan, my oldest boy, he was a great student, straight A student, got scholarships. He did really well.
He worked
He'd
at the
have-
racetrack with us also.
He would have probably done that with or without your.
His mom was a good mom.
Incentive.
His mom's a really smart lady. She did really well in college also. I did well in college. And my senior, Kal-El, love him to pieces. He loves football. He is all about football. He would like to be a football coach. He'd like to play football in college. His grades over the last 2 years have been awesome. He's done so well. I'm so proud of him. He's average sized kid to play football, 6'1", 185, 190
What
pounds.
position does he play?
He is a offensive lineman. So
And Grantsville's got it. Is he playing for Grantsville?
plays for Grantsville.
And they're
He's
doing pretty
varsity.
well, right?
Third in the region, I think.
So
right now.
are people looking at him? Maybe get a scholarship?
I
for
don't
him?
know. It'd be great. I think I don't know. It's possible. I'd like him to focus on academia.
Yeah.
So I mean, my girls were really good softball players. They could have got softball scholarships, but they focused on academics. I wanted them to focus on softball. I'm glad they focused on academics because that's what got paid. So it paid really well for the scholarships.
They could play softball in college too on a scholarship, couldn't they?
Yes, but they can't work. So that's the hard part is
Yeah.
working and playing college softball. It doesn't really mix well. You have to have
You've got to pay for it.
Yeah. So, and most softball scholarships, unless you go to a really big, desperate college that excels in softball, usually it's a small grant that
Yeah.
goes towards it. So, I'm glad that they did it the way they did. I was willing to pay for it. I was good for that. So, another. part of
It's
follow
also
through.
good for them to keep softball fun.
Yeah. So they didn't have both the girls had a tough time with their senior years of softball. So
Was it like a coach differential?
It was a personality conflict between them and the coach.
Yeah.
So and
I can see
if you
that.
know my girls, they're not the same
no
at all. One is very quiet, very she's quiet. She's a
introvert.
yes person. She will give you what you want. The other one, Maya, she's my wildcat, and she you tell her to go do something and she'll say no, and or ask why. And Matea wasn't like that. Matea would be like, okay, I'll go get it. If we had a pink sucker and a blue sucker, and I said, Matea, what sucker do you want? She'd say, I want the blue one. And then Maya would be like, I want the blue one. And Matea would say, okay, here, you can have the blue one. I'll take the pink one. So she always was like that.
Girls, though, and their dads, I have to say, being a girl and having a dad, I think it's different. I had all brothers, and yeah, he'd pay us if we got a good report card. And
Yeah.
a lot of what you're saying, and I was big into sports, and so were my brothers, but my brother wanted to play football and would meet that requirement, whereas I wanted a 4.0 and also cheer.
Yeah.
Because there was a 3.5 requirement at my school to play in that sport. But I know that my dad was just always, okay, every game he'd went to my brothers, but at mine, he wasn't coaching me.
Yeah.
He would work at my games.
I coached softball. I loved it.
I know you coached. I
had-
think your kids loved it.
I would, and it was hard. When I hear parents say, oh, I'm too busy, I was that parent.
Yeah.
I was too busy. I was working for myself. I was working on 13 different contracts in the state of Utah.
Plus, you were on call at the track, depending
the
on
time.
weekends, holidays, like all of that.
And I would just balance it out. I would learn to say no. That was the hardest part. It's another boundary thing. Learn to say no, stick to it, and follow through. Jobs come and go. Kids
That's true.
don't.
That's true.
Your kids will remember the little things that you did right and wrong when they're adults. So,
And you'll never regret the time you spent with them.
Never.
Only the time you were away.
I've got the possibility I'll lose my mom.
Yeah.
This deal that she's going through right now. And I would like to say that I'm coming to grips with that. I'm not really coming to grips with it quite yet, but there's a good possibility that that'll happen. Her brain bleed is very severe. She had a hole drilled in her head today to have tubes put in to suck the
Relieve
blood out,
pressure.
relieve pressure. And she's in her second coma in 3 weeks. So it's you got to make the best of time when you can. So
I ask that, and I will pray for you. But
Thanks.
what helped me when my dad was going through that up and down, never knowing, I just prayed for God to give me the strength to get through each day. And then when it was over, I really I needed just to not, I wanted to just crawl up and just in a ball and never leave my house. And then you have to keep going, especially when you've got
Yeah.
little kids that are looking to you. And so
and older
grieving
kids.
is hard, and they're also grieving. And so I pray that you have peace in your heart, and one, that you'll never feel alone, because nothing makes you feel more alone than
Oh,
those late nights of missing a person. So I hope she gets better.
I do too. She's stubborn. She is a stubborn old lady. So I hope that stubbornness will kick in with this. I mean, I'd love to say I'm going to pick her up from home and bring her home and things are going to be normal. I know things aren't going to be normal. So if that we get the chance to do that, but
But it's such a great opportunity to care for her.
oh yeah,
And that's something people, yes, caregivers, they don't get enough sleep.
I
They
have
don't
so
eat
much
enough.
respect for caregivers.
They
right
don't,
now.
and their patients. But when you're the child put into the position to care for a parent, it was such an amazing thing for me. I know it's hard for a lot of people, but it was my gift to him to be like, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to make sure that you're safe and that you're taken care of, and that, it was something that I had to do. Whereas for my brothers, I don't think it was as easy for them to do, because, they didn't want my dad to lose dignity or anything, which none of us did.
Yeah,
But, our dad had made the boundaries, like, you have caregivers that do this, this, and this, but you can take care of me this way. And my heart goes out to anyone losing a parent or going through a scare like this with a parent, because it rocks you to your core.
I tell you, there's a lot of blessings that I feel like I've earned from this, or that I've got from this. One is I and I've never thought I'd be saying this. If you'd have told me I'd say this 3-4 years ago, I'd be like, you're a liar. The staff at the Twilla Valley Hospital, is it Twilla what's
Mountain.
Mountain West?
Yeah, Mountain West.
Twilla Mountain West are awesome. The nurses, the doctors, we have the best life flight personnel here in Utah.
I
in
never
Twilla County.
thought anyone would say that. It used to have a really bad
We
rap.
used to have a really bad rap.
But I
but
think the University of Utah purchased that hospital, right?
Yeah, but I don't know that they really made. I think it's the people and the management
True.
there, because at University of Utah, there's a lot of grumpy people, and I've experienced that. I also, in their defense, they are understaffed, they are overworked, and you have people at the top that are looking at the matrix. They're looking at, how much money we make and how many people do we have here? How many do we have to keep them here? How many employees can we get away with using and not hire and not pay higher? If you do any research, nurses and doctors at University of Utah don't make as much as other private hospitals. So they make
See, and
less. They're on the state wage.
I've only had them I've had the Murray Hospital, which I never would take a parent to again, but I've only had my own personal experience with my husband and me at Huntsman. And that was like a whole nother level. They were
Huntsman's different. They're
amazing.
really good. Yeah, I think they put amazing people there. Again, University of Utah, great personnel there. I could sense their frustration. My mom is not easy to deal with. If anybody knows her, she's a wildcat too. So she is hard to deal with. But the staff at Twilla and the Life Flight personnel were just amazing.
That's great to hear.
Mr. Miller, that's over the security there, amazing guy. His job is to be security there. And he was more than that to me and to my family. So
You guys hear that? That's right here in Twilla County. And that was a sore on the reputation of Twilla for a long time,
big time.
that we had a terrible hospital. And I love hearing this because you're honest. If anything I know about you is that you're honest. You spare
Gets me in
nothing
trouble.
all the time, actually. And I'm praying for her. I'm praying for you and your heart. I mean, I'm sure you're worried like crazy. We're grateful
am.
you're here tonight.
Yeah, I was excited to be able to hopefully just reach out to other people. I know that there's a lot of people here in Twilla County, here in Utah, here in the United States that worry about what if someone doesn't agree with me? What if I say something that hurts somebody's feelings? Meanwhile, you have a small percentage that don't care. And I'm not saying you have to go out and be mean to people, but you don't have to be pushed around. When we started the Trump trains 4 years ago, the Patriot Parade, it was a Trump train 4 years ago. Like I said, it started as a joke. Someone said, "Oh, you can't do that." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I can."
It's kind of like, hey, why don't you buy Twitter if you hate it so much,
Right.
Elon?
And it was so simple. And it started out small. I thought, I'll buy a Trump flag. I'll throw it on the pink truck, the pink Ford Power Stroke. That was my mom's for years. She built it from the ground up in 2005. I just sold it to a really nice young lady in the last month. But that was like the icon for
I
the
didn't know
Trump
it was
trains.
for sale.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, I
on
saw it up for
15
sale.
minutes.
Now it's pink and black.
Pink and black. It was all pink in the very beginning.
When your mom drove it, it was all pink.
Pepto-Bismol pink.
Yes, it was. And then you put a black angle.
So we were
Towards the
going to
rear
paint the
end.
whole thing black. And this backstory on that, in July of 2020, I took my kids the day before it was going to the paint shop. I took my kids to Lava Hot Springs. When we were coming back, we met this young lady. We were in Malad. It's about 11:45 at night. And I was filling up with fuel. And this guy gets out and he's like, "Hey, my daughter just really loves this pink truck. Can I bring her out here and get a picture with it?" And I was like, "Sure, yeah." And at the time, Corbin was probably like 7 or 8 years old. And he was with us. And this guy comes out and he's got his daughter in his arms. He's carrying her. She's got a bandana wrapped around her head. You could tell she didn't have any hair.
Oh.
And they were taking her from Coeur d'Alene to Primary Children's. She was going to get her treatments. And that was her 13th treatment. I'll never forget. And so when she opened her eyes and saw the truck, like just light just beamed into her. And she's like, "Oh, I just love this truck." And she's getting her picture and she's posing around with it. She came in, gave me a big hug. She's all, "Thank you for painting your truck pink for me." And I was like, so we get the truck.
My tears.
Maya's like 16 years old. She's got tears running down her face. She's all, "We can't paint the truck black." And I'm like, "No." So I hopped online and I typed in Ford pickup truck, pink and black. Google's great sometimes. And I brought up this 77 Ford pickup truck that was black in the back, pink in the front, and it had tire tracks, BFG tire tracks that went in between the transition. I did have the tracks made up from Clark Hill, but I never had him put them on. But I did have the back 2/3 painted black. And I remember the guys at the paint shop were like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
So, but it worked out.
It looks
was
good.
Yeah, it didn't look too bad. I mean, people would laugh. I got all the time, "Does your wife let you drive that often?" So, but it was mine.
When it was
So,
all pink, they
But
could
it-
definitely say that.
It was
Yeah.
like people knew it when it was coming. They knew. They knew
Yeah.
it was you. So this Trump train is a Patriot train now.
So
Patriot
we're-
Parade.
So let's lay out Patriot Parade. People want to show up on Sunday.
Sunday, 5 p.m. We meet at the Grantsville High School parking lot. We are peaceful. We
Bring a barbecue, bring hot dogs,
Yeah.
bring,
I
you
bring
know,
music.
don't bring beer,
bring
but
mu-
bring soda, and it's an event. When me and Dave went, there were obviously people there who weren't Trump fans, but they
Yeah.
came up and hung out. Me and Dave brought hot dogs and handed them out.
They were surprised that we would feed them. The
Yeah.
people that were on the left, and all we ask is that we be kind to one another. I
Yeah.
mean, people on the right aren't perfect by any means.
Nope.
And so I had to lay down those boundaries. If you're peeling out in front of people's houses in the main road, we're going to ask you to leave. And if you don't leave, you get boxed in until everybody leaves, and then you won't know where we're going. So, but we just, we had a really good turnout last
Do
year.
people bring food to share, or do they kind
Yeah.
of tailgate?
We
in their
brought,
own-
I think
Last
we
year we
brought
did.
like 45 hot dogs, I guess, or no.
We served 300 people
Yeah,
last year on that day.
45, but we brought a whole bunch of hot dogs, set up a barbecue. There were people giving out cookies. I
So-
mean,
It was fun.
It's a tailgate at 5. When
So-
does the train start,
so
or is
we-
the tailgating
we
after?
roll out at 5:30. We meet at 5. We haven't done a barbecue yet. I think that's coming next weekend on the 3rd
Okay.
of November, because that'll be the last Sunday. That's typically what we do. The other thing that I need to figure out is the trunk or treat. With the stuff going on with the family, it's been really hard to
it's
focus
heavy. Yeah.
on so I probably need to get some people to help out on that. But we got the 27th is Sunday, correct? Yeah. And then what Halloween is
Halloween's on Thursday.
on Thursday. And so last year we had Cassie Murray make up the Trump or Treat shirts, and she did an excellent job. If you need t-shirts made up, Carrie Condon and Cassie Murray do
What
an
do they
awesome job.
charge? Do you have to buy them in bulk?
No,
Or can you
I think we paid I think they charged us like maybe $15 a t-shirt. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't a lot.
That's great.
They were super affordable. And but we haven't even got a design out yet. So hopefully they're not learning from this podcast that I'm gonna ask them to do that
Well,
soon. But it was a lot of fun 4
I'd
years
love
ago.
to help. What night would you do it? You wouldn't do it on Halloween night, right?
No, last year we did it the Sunday after, which people liked it because they're like, hey, the candy was 50% off. So
It's true. It's brilliant. So you want to tie in maybe next Sunday a Trump or Treat
yeah,
train.
that's what we would like to do. And then food, candy. It was just a lot of fun. This weekend, I know some people from Layton want to get with me. Again, a lot of stuff that's been going on in the week. So I'll have to just do what I can do at this point.
So if I say on November 3rd, that's going to be the last Sunday before the
that's
election.
the last one before the election.
Then-
5 p.m. is when we would meet. We're probably going to meet a little bit earlier. I like to do a barbecue on November 3rd.
Okay, so I was saying Sundays at 5 p.m. at Grantsville High School parking lot. Bring your barbecue snacks to share. But
Yep.
you want me to do that this Saturday or this Sunday as well?
This Sunday, if people want to do that, that's great. I bring music. So if somebody wanted to bring their grill and barbecue, I'm sure no one's going to complain about that. I want to do something more organized on the 3rd, though, the last Sunday. That
On Sunday.
maybe make a couple hundred hot dogs and pass them out and have fun.
And
It's
if
just a lot of fun.
people wanted to donate to like a Venmo you to help pay for food, are you taking that?
I would. I haven't put it out there just because I'm used to doing everything myself. So
Well,
But
maybe you
I
let
have
people.
I have a really good we have a really good support system. Wayne Margaret's. Am I saying that correctly? Sorry, Wayne. I don't mean to butcher your last name, dog.
On November 3rd, they will do.
Let's see, Wayne at Margette's over at Wasatch Heating and Air. He made some flag stands for us. So if you see my new triple flag popping out of the back. He
Nice.
made that. He did a really awesome job. He did one for the Delaney's and a couple of other
Does
people.
he give you a mount to put it on the back of
He
your
did.
truck?
He gave everything to us. I offered to pay for it and everything, and he's like, "Nope, I'll weld it together and I'll put it together for you." And
Oh my
just did a
gosh.
really good job. So we have really good support group of
I
people
need him. I need him to help. I don't have a flag mount in the back of my truck. And I
Should-
don't know how much it costs, but
to put one together for
it'd
you.
be nice to have one and put my Trump flag and my police flag up on there.
Yeah,
Does
he
yours
just-
hold 3 flags?
mine holds 3. I got 5 altogether on my truck. So
Yeah, you're-
So
You got
November
the
I go
3rd,
extreme.
on Sunday, November 3rd, they will do a Trump retreat starting at the beginning before we go out in the Trump train.
Yes. So November 3rd, we'll just put it out there now. We'll probably start at 4:00. We'll start feeding people at 4:00. Then anybody that doesn't want to eat, they show up
Four.
at 5, and then we roll out at 5:30.
Or if
So-
you just want to show up and BS.
And the Trump retreat, I mean, they're going to they can decorate their trucks, or at least all their trucks will have
Yeah.
candy bowls for the kids.
Yep, we did for the Trump retreat. We did prizes last time. You know what? When we did the Trump retreat, we didn't roll out and do a parade. We all stayed in the one place and everybody just kind of hung out together. It was packed. We had a couple of vendors come out, set up some stuff. The guy that I got to get a hold of him. He brought down his booth. He did over $10,000 in sales in the 4 hours that we were there.
Yeah, we need to get
it's
the guy
crazy.
who sells Trump flags out there so
Yeah.
people can purchase their flags.
And we give it like I bought a bunch of flags during Country Fan Fest last year. I bought like $400 in
Are you
flags.
selling them?
No, I just give them away. So just give them
Wow.
away so that because there's a lot of people show up, they're like, "Hey, I don't have a flag." I'm like, "No problem."
I might be
There you
able to get my hands on some more Trump signs, but I have to buy them. They're $6 though.
I gave away
But I could probably sell them there, right?
3 or 4 flags today, and I got maybe like 1 or 2 old Trump 2020 flags. So, but I mean, even if you don't have a flag, come roll with us. You can honk the horn.
And if you want to cruise your Harris Walls flag, cruise it.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me one bit.
Nope.
If you watch Tim Walls, I'll be honest with you. I think Tim Walls, he reminds me of what the heck is his name? He's an old comedian, Don Wrinkles. He does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he just
Is
seems,
it Rickles?
yeah. However you pronounce
Thank you. Now that's in my mind.
Yeah.
I personally, the guy, he's like a deer hunter, fisherman that's full of shit. So he's, that he's full of it, but he seemed like he'd be a pretty cool guy. So
I think he's
that's just my
kind of-
opinion.
I think he's, the left was so quick to brand our people as weird. I think they did that because they were introducing Tim Walls, because he's got some weird about him.
He's a little weird, but
And he makes stuff up and he's, I'm a knucklehead. And I'm like, I don't know, bro. Making up that you served in Iraq, and I mean
he's just full
you
of
don't
crap.
just make that stuff up.
Saturday Night Live's had a lot of fun with him and Kamala.
Yeah.
So they've
Yeah, and it's that comedian that's been playing him.
the guy that's doing Trump sucks. There's so many other people out there that could do Trump much better
Yeah,
than
Alec
him.
Baldwin did well. What about the
Yeah.
comedian that can do Trump perfectly? His voice.
Yeah.
Have you seen
Shane
the-
Gillis.
Yeah.
Yep, Shane
Oh
Gillis, he
my
does a really good job.
goodness, he's funny. And then when they put a wig on him and he makes the face, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, there's other people, but the guy that's Dana Carvey, he plays Joe Biden. He does such.
Yeah, Dana Carvey does a good Joe
He's a
Biden.
talented man.
Yes,
Talented.
Everyone.
I'm gonna say just before I post this, the train will set to go after 5 p.m. to travel through the county as its final voyage.
Through the metro area of the county. We're not going out to Ibapaw.
Sorry, Ibapa.
Good heck.
You're not missing anything.
No,
I love those people out there.
Callio.
Okay, so throughout the metro county, is that what you want me to say?
Sure. We roll through
just
Grantsville,
say-
Erda,
Just say
Stansbury
through
Park.
the county. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And then we'd like to be there. And you think you could maybe be there on the 3rd?
The 3rd, I can be
We could
there. I
maybe
won't
do
be
our
able to be
show.
there. I've got a teaching a pistol class tomorrow and Sunday. So
That sounds like fun.
We could do our show
you
there.
could come to the pistol class before if you want. I'll get you up on the line.
All right.
How
Sounds
long has
good.
it been since you've been
You need-
in a training?
You need to cruise concealed.
February.
Good
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
Keeping
February.
not getting rusty.
I don't know about that, but
Just start out rusty.
start out rusty.
Yeah.
I do love the idea of having a Trump retreat on that following Sunday only because candy's on sale. And that's my favorite.
Well, not
part.
just that, but you bought those kids a costume, get 2 wears out of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
You won. You automatically won.
And
It's a win-win.
and you can have kids and adults dressing up. It's just fun. I mean, this whole thing should be
I encourage everybody
Fun.
to dress up as their favorite political pundit. So you want to dress up as Joe Biden, you want to dress up as Trump, you want to dress up as Obama. I don't care. Don't do blackface. It probably won't go over very well. Just
or
throw that out
orange
there.
face. They get offended.
Yeah, you can do orange face.
No, that's okay.
I think orange face is funny. So,
I think it's hilarious.
yeah.
And I just posted something on my Facebook page today that that always resonated with me. And I think it's kind of what we talked about for a second here, but it's just simple. And it says, do not get upset with people or situations. Both are powerless without your reaction.
That's stoicism.
It's true though. You give the reaction. And this is what I've noticed when I was at the convention in Milwaukee, is that I could talk to people, even the people outside protesting that are Democrats. I know that we could go grab a drink and hang out and still get along, but I don't see the same. I don't know that I would feel safe going into an all Democrat area, because I don't think that both sides are nurturing the fact that we're all neighbors, folks, and we have to look
Yeah.
at each other after this election, whatever the turnout is. We have to be in this community together, and our kids have to be able to get along, and it can't be gloom and doom. I mean, the world won't end. We survived Obama, we survived Biden, and we will survive this, but we don't know to what level or to what necessity is going to come to preserve the Constitution of this country.
And I do encourage people, if somebody does differ with your opinion, yelling at them, calling them names. I've been guilty of that. I get a little sarcastic and I'm like, okay, after a while, but I encourage you, don't do it. Teach with love and compassion. And if you don't get it back, you don't get it back.
But the people watching you or reading what you write,
Yeah.
they're the ones that are listening.
Yeah.
The people that are calling you names, so many people have just shut off whatever they're saying and they've skipped it. Now they're like, oh, they just lost an argument. And you know you're never going to win them over.
yeah,
But by keep being nice and keep giving your facts that you understand and your feelings about this and that, it's the people, the audience that is listening and taking something to heart.
well, we all have one thing in common. We all are looking for the pursuit of happiness. I don't think anybody ever says, I just want to be unhappy all the time.
True.
We all are looking for happiness. We're all looking for that next, feel good feeling. And I think that we all have that in common. And I like to share with people. And if I can help somebody out along the way, great. So,
Well, you are definitely someone that we both really respect and adore. You're easy to love.
Thanks.
Let's just
Well,
say.
I got a story. Chris was the guy who dropped me off when I went to basic.
the MEP Center,
No kidding.
Yeah.
And were you Army also?
Air Force.
That's right. Air
Yeah.
Force.
Chris was the one who dropped me off there when the
I went shortly after you did.
recruiter picked me up. It's Chris who dropped me off in this little Sunfire.
Yep.
That little white Sunfire. I remember that.
I dropped you off and then I went. See, when did you leave? I left in June.
I left in May.
Yeah,
Well,
I
you
knew
left a
shortly
month
right after
later.
you. Shortly after you did.
So how long were you in?
So I did 2 years full time, and then Bill Clinton did the Reduction in Force
Yeah.
Act, and so then I had 2 years of inactive reserve, is what they treated it as. So
Yeah, that was an interesting time.
Yeah.
A lot of military
we were
bases were getting
incentivized.
dropped.
Yeah, we were incentivized to get out, so we had more money to use for college.
And then you went to college after that.
Yeah, during and after.
So what are your businesses now? I mean,
So I just
can we
have-
give you a plug anywhere? I know you can build computers,
so I have
gaming computers.
Comtech Services. I'm an IT contractor, a DJ. I am a licensed and insured drone pilot. I've been flying for Country Fan Fest, Nitro Circus. I've done commercials for Subaru, Yokohama Tires, Logan Trailers. Done a lot of stuff for the state of Utah. I like flying drones. It's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, you're really good at it. In fact, you're the first person I ever met because it was right as drones were becoming a thing. But
Yeah.
you're the first person that was not only great at it and learning where it was brand new, but you were also getting your is it FAA?
Yeah,
License?
FAA license.
Yeah, you have to get cleared.
And
Yep.
I mean, it was a game changer for the racetrack.
Yeah,
Because the ability to get so much footage from a drone and in the way that you did,
you couldn't fly at the racetrack during that time because the depot was so close. The area was geofenced, and so I had to actually get permission from a 2-star general out of Washington D.C.
that's right. I remember.
through some help with some people at the Twila Army.
And it
Depot.
had to be you. It couldn't just be anyone.
Couldn't be anybody. I sat on the. I was with the Deseret UAS as their CTO at the time, with our county commissioners, and that had some pull. I mean, it was right place, right time, and I gained contracts every year after that to fly my particular drone. The serial numbers on it were uploaded to a satellite system that was approved by the government. And
Amazing.
so I could launch my drones from that site. They have since then deregulated some of those geo-fenced areas so you can fly those areas. But yeah, if you want to get your license, I really encourage people to go out and do it. This is what it looks like right here. I'm
I'd
pretty
be
proud of it.
afraid that I would lose my drone or not charge it long enough.
Gotta
and it
get
would
this little
fall.
guy right here.
Here,
So-
the camera's right there. Just zoom it up there.
It's pretty neat. I worked really hard for this,
Good for you.
and I know a lot of people do, and it can be a good career. It can be a good job. It's one of the little things that I like to do to
So are there
Support my
areas that are
family.
off limits? Because I know UMC doesn't allow drones without permission for
So,
events.
UMC. Here's the thing a lot
But
of people don't
neither
understand.
does Rice Eccles and neither does
Rice
some
Eccles doesn't
other-
own the airspace. So if I go to the FAA and turn in the paperwork that I'm flying over Rice Eccles Stadium on game night, there are certain things that I am limited to do or not do. If the FAA gives me clearance, I can fly. Nobody can do anything.
They can't say anything to you.
They can say whatever they want. It's kind of like if you drive up my road and I think you're going too fast, I'm going to give you a speeding ticket. You'll laugh at me. There's nothing that I can do legally. I'd
There's
have
no
to
enforcement arm.
correct. So they can call law enforcement, and law enforcement can approach me, and it would be he's got documentation to do this legally and federally. So what they can say is you can't be on our property.
Right. Trespass you.
They could trespass me from the property, but they can't trespass me from the airspace.
Right. So you just
So-
go fly it from another part of the.
So somebody from UMC can
grounds.
say, hey, you can't fly here. But if I have the proper paperwork, which is not hard to do, you just do it 30 days before an event, have your license and have your clearance to fly at night.
Can't companies have some say, like, let's say it's Nitro Circus, for example, and they're having their event, they have their own drones. And when they're using the venue, can't they request to someone that no one else can come in and film their footage?
They would have to geofence the area, and there's proper equipment that you can buy and you can register to do that.
So, I mean, that's,
Concert
they'd have
places
to
do it all the time.
really have to care about their properties. But I mean, if it's their property, their event is their intellectual property and performance, and they're making money off of showing it, and they don't
You
want
know what'd
someone
be
coming
the
in.
easiest way to deal with it? The cheapest and easiest way would be on the night of hire you to not fly your drone, or hire you to fly
Yeah.
your drone
However
over
you not do
there.
it. I told Country Fan Fest we could put in the right equipment. You could block drones from flying in the area, because we did have that problem at Country Fan Fest. They would say, hey, you're flying your drone up on the stage, you're fired. This actually happened. And I was like, I'm not flying my drone on the stage. I am actually in the media area with my drone downloading videos. So somebody was flying up on the stage. And so a lot of places get frustrating.
Yeah.
Like being on the boat, on the water, there's rules you have to follow. You have to be within so many feet of the other craft. Same thing with flying drone. If a helicopter comes in the area, I have to land.
Oh yeah.
No arguments. I have LiDAR built onto my
You have
machines.
to see that, and it'll tell you.
My drone will tell me automatically.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be the cause of something horrific
Negative.
ever.
So what would a person need to save up, say, if they wanted a gaming computer that can maybe also like work Word?
If you have a gaming computer, it's going to play. It's going to work Word.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, is
But
it,
there's everybody
is it
has
like
their different
they buy
opinion on what's
parts?
a
I mean,
gaming
and
computer.
if it's a gaming computer just to play Call of Duty, and I'm going to plug in my controller anyway to the hard drive, I'm not going to play on the
Mouse and keyboard.
yeah.
Well, there's a lot of other factors that go besides just having a case. You're going to have a monitor. Is the refresh rate at 240 hertz? Is your
What if my internet is garbage? I'm looking into buying Starlink. Is that a good buy?
Starlink's not bad. It's not the fastest. If you would like good internet in Tooele County, call 9 Stone. So
What's Nine Stone? See, there's
you
no
haven't heard of 9
fiber.
Stone?
I'm on the island where they stopped laying internet fiber, and so I have
Wow.
one option, and that's that broadband.
Brian Scott, you are not advertising very good if these folks here do not know what 9 Stone is. 9 Stone is a local company in Grantsville, and they do point-to-point internet throughout the entire city and in Tooele and Erta, and they do a great job.
Are they in satellite base?
Nope, it's point-to-point. So you remember how Beehive Wireless used to be set up? It's kind of like that, except for his internet's on steroids. So it's really good.
How much is it a month? Do you know?
I think he has packages that start at $50 a month. Don't hold me to that. You can go to his website. Just Google 9 Stone, Grantsville, Utah. It's a really simple website that he has set up. I'm actually a relay station for him up on the West Bench.
Okay, so you communicate kind of.
Correct.
'Cause
Myself.
we talked about it before,
Yes.
where you were going to put something on my house that would make it better,
I got
but
gig.
that hardware was $2,500.
You can get gig internet to your
Mm.
house with 9 Stone. So he has that availability. He has
That's a beast.
business
Yeah.
class. He's got everything. He is just
Everything
guy's a
in my
mad
house.
scientist.
I'm telling you, yeah.
He's been doing it for
Xfinity,
years.
you read about Xfinity on Facebook right now, and everybody's happy with that. So check out
Well,
Nine Stone. And it's a
9 Stone-
local dude.
But this is my problem. Like, because they didn't lay the fibers, I'm dealing with just broadband,
Broadband.
and I pay like $100 a month.
Is that Xfinity?
No, I don't think so. It's whatever our local. It's what Beehive used to be.
Okay, so that is
Rise.
Rise Broadband.
Rise
Yeah.
broadband, and so my router, but it's so slow. It took a download, for example, just the new update
Yes.
this last week, 16 hours. Whereas my guys in Summit had it done in a half an hour.
Yeah, my updates take about 30 minutes.
See, so then I start looking up, it's 120 a month plus 350 for the hardware to get Starlink.
So in the Starlink speed is not bad. You're gonna max out about 250 meg. You're gonna
Yeah, it says
topple around,
150 to 250.
and you'll probably sit around 125. The latency is not too bad. I own Starlink, so I own a Starlink
But
unit. I don't own
everything in my
Starlink.
house, You wish, right?
Yeah, I wish. That'd be
Everything
awesome.
in my house is streaming. Like, we don't have cable television. We just stream what we like. My
Same-
kids
same
have
thing at my
iPads.
house.
We all have phones. So, and then I
Haven't-
have my Xbox.
Haven't paid for satellite or any type of television service since 2007.
Yeah.
It's
I got
you'd
out of
be
that.
out of your mind to do it.
Yeah. So we use a ton of bandwidth at my place. We use a lot, but the 9 Stone internet here in the local area, if you can get it, works awesome. It's fast. And Brian is a one-man show, and I don't know how many customers he has, but he's got a lot. We did a
Maybe that's why he doesn't advertise.
we did a relay station off of the new Ken's gym here in Tooele,
Oh yeah.
and we got good internet service going into there. Yeah, he's done a really good job, and he's
So
done
I'm
a really good job
curious if
managing
he does Stansbury Park.
Well, if it's
Yes.
if it's point to point, that's-
There are sites in Stansbury Park. Yeah, because he's got a tower up on the East Bench, up above the
yeah, then he'd cover Stansbury.
correct.
I've
Well,
heard.
I'd let him put a hot tower on my house if it made my internet's lightning fast.
Well, it depends on where your house is at and how many other people can connect to it.
Yeah.
Everybody around me is on the same problem I have.
Are
They
they?
just quit laying the cable, I think, right a block, but I mean, it's probably 20
They
houses.
probably were afraid to cut that road that splits the island. But
Well,
we got to cut this show loose.
Let's do it.
Chris, thanks for coming on, man.
I hope
It's
you
great
guys
to
will
see you
come
every
out
time.
Sunday and go to Grantsville. Saturday they are doing the other event, which is going to be Saturday. They're like I said, they're going to do a Saturday one at Settlement Canyon.
10:30 a.m.
yeah, 10:30 in the morning.
Okay, I heard about
Um,
that.
and that's going to be on the 2nd. So it's a week from. So we'll let people know this Sunday about that one if they want to attend both. But on the 3rd, come out with your kids, get all trunk or treat, trump or treat, have them all dressed in their costumes. All the vehicles could bring candy and they get a trick or treat around the parking lot. And then after, you could join the Trump train or the Patriot Parade, as we're calling it, because all are welcome. And come say hi to Jared and I, and come meet Chris. If you haven't met him yet, he's easy to love. He's easy to talk to. His amazing wife, his amazing family. They are staples in Grantsville City. I think
Crazy.
that,
I'm old enough to be able to say that.
yeah. But so many people know you, and both of you have been around Grantsville and are the heart of Grantsville, and you're Gen Xers. You've got that
Almost half a
feral
century. Yeah.
gene.
Ugh,
Yeah, we're all pushing that birthday, aren't we?
it's coming. Yeah. Yeah, everyone. We'll see you guys there. Hope everyone. And sorry if we didn't go through your comments. We had a guest, and sometimes it's hard to go through comments, and there's a lot to flow through.
Well, we
I
did
know.
go through you guys that were
Before the guest shows up,
roasting us, so that was fun.
you guys on YouTube, I will read these comments after, and maybe I'll entertain. But I hope that everyone has a good weekend, fun weekend, and we'll be back on Friday,
Unless we go live on Sunday, hopefully if Jared's available, or I will just go live. And
someone's going to be Vermin Supreme.
how
Is that
is
for
cashier
Halloween?
seeing EBT balances? It's on your receipt. After you've made a purchase, the EBT balance is right there on the receipt. Now the
Yes.
customer can take it, but cashiers, as they pull the receipt,
They
would
can see it.
And so it's just something to think about. In the condition our country's in, with all this money going to, well, the billions that's gone to Ukraine and the billions that is being spent outside of the country and the billions being spent inside, but not on Americans, I think that it's really, really time that we start to look at America first.
Yeah.
And you should have no shame in saying, let's take care of Americans first. Americans are immigrants too, that have come here and have become American citizens and love what this country represents. And the government needs to be put in its place. And we're done with it. I mean, we're done with being lied to. So I'm hoping that we win all three, the Senate, the House, and the White House. And we get an opportunity to see Republicans make a difference, because if they don't,
It'll be a long time before they get another chance.
Well-
and they'll lose their base, because we've had enough and we're holding them accountable.
Rome taught us one lesson: you can't have open borders and a welfare state.